Just kidding, everybody. I ain't gonna make you go through all that. Good flipping morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Coffee and a Cup of Yours truly. That's Culler, your host, Culler Commentary. How you all doing this morning? 4 days till game time, people. 4 days. It is September 6th, 7:02 in the morning on the east coast of Florida. And our first football game is September 10th. By my math, that is 4 days away, people. So get up the likes, share this thing out, get more people in chat to talk to. And again, good morning. Welcome to you all. As I said, it's 7:02 on the East Coast. Very, very, very beautiful South Florida morning. As far as weather goes, you don't get better than this. This is why they all come down here, people. This is it right here. 76 degrees and clear. Feels like 77 because humidity is 87%. A little high for my taste, but. And there will be mostly sunny skies today in the Palm Beach County region. The high touching 90 degrees. Pressure is 29.98 millibars, dew point 72 degrees. And the wind is almost non-existent out of the south at 2 miles an hour. As far as y'all down in there in the 305, probably not much different today. Maybe some afternoon thunderstorms as always. But it's looking like the next couple days are going to be nice and clear. Few clouds for the South Florida region. It's a shame we're not playing football here this weekend. We're going out to L.A. But I'm pretty sure the weather would be about the same out there. Maybe a little, not quite as hot. Maybe a little drier. Football should fly really nice. And of course, they're watching something in the tropics way out, way out in the Atlantic. Might form. So keep that in the back of your mind for the next week or two. Your traffic report from TFTGnetwork.com, which, by the way, is your centralized location for all the FinMily tailgate content. All of our bios, personalities, everybody's over there. Articles, news, curated Miami Dolphins content, and news from around the league. Plus the the TFTG, the FinMily tailgate merch store where you can find all kinds of great stuff, including a coffee mug that looks very similar to the one you're looking at in my background image, except the logo is reversed from the handle. It's on the other side. But that's okay. Get yourself like something like that. Get the cooking folk apron. Because, when you're cooking folk, you got to put on an apron. You might get a little messy. But the traffic report's showing, slowdowns everywhere in the school zone regions. As always, be safe. I'm not seeing any slowdowns on the highway as I scroll down into the Fort Lauderdale region. Mostly school zone tie-ups. And, of course, down as you get into the Miami area, it's looking like you're getting some slowdowns right at the I-95 expressway and 163rd, 167th. That would be the Palmetto Expressway. A mess right at that junction coming from all directions. So try to avoid that area. You also got a little slowdown out west on 75 where it meets the turnpike out by the General Hospital out in the Palmetto region. And a slowdown on the turnpike out by 75, a little north of there. It's a mess, people, down in Miami, and you've got major delays coming into downtown Miami along right through the Miami airport region. Downtown itself looks pretty clear once you get into downtown, but that's probably because everybody's stuck on the highways. So stay off the highways right now. If you ain't got to go out in the morning, don't piss everybody off and get in traffic when you don't need to be. I mean, there's schools, all kinds of stuff going on. And people trying to get to work. So just stay home if you don't need to be out on the road through this time of the morning. And of course, obey all school zone speed limits and stop for the buses. Please don't run over our children. You don't want to have that on your record. And if you're in the 305 region, whichever way you're going, turn around and go the other way. And that is your TFTGnetwork.com traffic report. Chop, chop. Of course, you can find all the great TFTG content throughout the week. El Capitan coming to you just about every other night. And definitely calling the games on Sundays. Handling some of the post game. Chopping it up with y'all. Myself, with coffee and a cup of color. Keep the notification bell rung. Because as the season starts, I'm going to have to come about every other day with this. So we're going to start with breaking down, what happened on Sunday. Then we're going to move into transitioning by Wednesday and Thursday into the next game. And we'll pepper a little DFS in with my show. We did that last year. I think you all loved it. We'll enter some free lineups together. I already got one in just to get one in. I'll talk a little bit about that later towards the end of the show. We'll get into that a little bit, kind of show you who I picked for my my Tua stack. Always got to have a Tua stack. You'd be remiss if you didn't, because regardless of what you might think about the guy, we do put up the numbers. So not a bad play at quarterback, because it allows you to stick a bunch of other stars in on your lineup. We'll see what I did. And we'll do another one maybe next show. I'm looking for Saturday as a regular time for this show because, nobody's doing anything on Saturday morning. Might as well chill and have a cup of coffee, a cup of color and some coffee, and talk some football. So I'll be doing that. And of course, I'll be co-hosting with Ali in the mornings, usually 6 to 8. Ali wasn't able to make it this morning, so I went ahead and fired up one of these at 7. But you'll usually catch me co-hosting with Ali for Top of the Tailgate, 6 to 8 a.m. every morning. And he's also got some Broken Takes. He'll be dropping Broken Takes episodes. We record those usually once a week. A lot of times the whole crew will join him. And we'll just give our Broken Takes. That's always fun. And of course, Late Night Exhales on Saturday. That's the hype show. He's going to be changing it up this season, making sure we're all ready, hyped, positive, and ready to go for the game on Sunday. Join us at 9:30, 10 o'clock, depending on home or away. Home games go a little earlier because Ali's got to get up in the morning to go to the game. But generally 9:30, 10 o'clock Saturday nights, Late Night Exhale. Check it out. Make sure you're catching Shake Money for the drive time and the Smoke Lounge coming at you around drive time, 6 o'clock or so. And I think he's got one today, if I'm not mistaken. So make sure you're ringing your notification bell so it reminds you. Don't miss that. He'll probably have the Rabid Dolphin Lewis, as always, joining him, who's also slated to join crypto on Mondays for the crypto show. And Thursdays, myself will be joining crypto for the crypto show. That's been really good. I think he's maybe third show in. Y'all have been turning out, getting good viewership. You know, he appreciates it a lot. And he usually chops it up about some kind of things we don't ever think about, you know, marketing aspect, historical stuff, philosophical angles when it comes to football. That's crypto. He wouldn't be crypto if he wasn't. So make sure you're checking him out. KP also, Kahari P, you love him. Everybody loves him. He's a great guy. Got his, second or third show in on Saturday for the fantasy. He's doing the season-long fantasy league, which I believe I got word there's one slot open. I don't know if that got taken, but somebody backed out. And there is one slot open for the TFTG fantasy league, managed by Kahari P. The draft for that is tonight, 9:30. The show starts at 9. Make sure everybody gets a chance to get in, start talking about it. The draft starts at 9:30. And according to a text message I got this morning, there is one slot available that needs to be filled because somebody backed out. So get over there if you haven't. I don't know who can get over there quick enough, but if you wanted to get in and you thought you missed out, you got one shot. Unless Kahari texts me right now and says it's already filled. But even if you don't get into the league, make sure you're showing up tonight to check out that show. We're going to have a great time talking about fantasy. I'll probably pop in and give a little take on some DFS, daily fantasy stuff. And again, hit the notification bell so you know about it. And make sure you're subscribed. We're almost 5,600 strong now. It's amazing. Like I can't even believe, like, it seems like yesterday we were just hitting 1,000 and, you know, having a party over it. And of course, the OG is back. One of our OGs, Tonk with TMI Tuesdays, had his show last night. Great show. Little off topic when it comes to Dolphins stuff, but very important conversations and very fun stuff to talk about. This show, it didn't quite go off the rails, but definitely a different kind of show and different kind of talk. So make sure you're catching it Tuesday nights. Take a breather from the Dolphins. Let's talk about some other stuff. Tonk brings it. Tonk's got a really, a great expansive mind and has a lot to talk about besides just Dolphins all the time. And it's fun to do. So make sure you're checking that out on Tuesday nights. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit us up on Cash App with $ the FinMily Tailgate or Venmo the FinMily Tailgate. And of course, super chats and super stickers are live and active on YouTube. You're welcome to use them, and you're welcome to join the members, the membership. Hit the join button below the video. There's 3 different levels. We try to keep it, the lowest level is affordable, for anybody to get in. And besides those nice little emojis and all that, we got some exclusive content for you all. I don't know if it's already dropped. I think it may have. And if you're a member in chat, Michael K., don't blow it for everybody. Let me know if it's already been dropped, because I don't know if it was supposed to get dropped for the members like right away. So if it's already dropped, man, I'm telling you, y'all, when that thing goes public totally, I had an absolute honor to talk to somebody last night for a members only recording. that we did as a team with Shake Money hosting. And if it hasn't dropped for members yet, it's going to drop for members only first. And man, what an honor it was to talk to this gentleman. I'm not going to tell you who it was because that would defeat the purpose. It will eventually come out for everybody to see. And yeah, okay. Thank you, Lewis. Appreciate it. Lewis confirming that it did drop. And man, what an honor it was. I'll tell you what. So if you're not a member and you want to know who I'm talking about, join now. You still got a chance. That's one of the perks that we're trying to provide for members. Give you something a little extra for your thank you. We appreciate all the support we've received from everybody. And at the same time, liking and sharing the video does just as much. Not everybody can always help financially, so we appreciate the likes just as much as the financial help, because liking and sharing might get in front of the eyes of somebody who can provide. So we appreciate likes and shares and subscriptions just as much as memberships, but we do try to provide something a little extra for the people that have decided to help us that way. So appreciate y'all. Don't ruin it don't spoil it for everybody in chat. But it was really fun to do. And it looks like we got the rabid dolphin himself up with us right now. I got to get in the double view here.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, Culler. Yeah, I just wanted to inform everybody and inform you. I'm going to get up out of here. I'll probably be back in a little bit. But yes, it has dropped for all the members. And everything Culler just said is absolutely true. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. And I am with Culler as well. I enjoyed the conversation last night. So for the members, enjoy it, and it should be released for everybody sooner rather than later. But we figured let's put it out for our loving members first. But I just wanted to come up there and let everybody know, Culler. So
I appreciate you, Lewis. And if it wasn't for you young guys that aren't as shy as me, look, the person we talk to, and it's a lot of these people, a lot of people that are in the community, look, I grew up watching some of these guys. These guys were my idols. So look, I'm a little shy. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna go out there and be like, "Yo, so and so, you wanna do this?" Hey, that might defeat me as a content creator, but oh well. That's just my nature. But you young guys, you're like, not you in particular, because I know you grew up watching some of these guys too. But it, and I understand you probably feel the same way I do about a lot of them. But some of the younger folk are a little less shy to talk to these guys because they didn't necessarily see them the way we did growing up. You know what I mean? So
1000%.
I totally appreciate y'all's outgoing personalities and being able to get some people up in here and let them know that we're not trying to roast anybody here. You know what I mean? As far as that goes, but we certainly love chopping it up with anybody. You know what I mean? And that was a real honor last night. So I appreciate the work you and Shake do in the other communities on the social networks. Get inviting people. Y'all know that's how we came across a great human being like Doc Reg Brown. You know what I mean? So there's a perfect example, man. And it allows us to kind of break down the walls and see the human and get to the human side of people, because we're all humans. We all put our pants on the same way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Listen, I agree. I just wanted to come up here, say hello, good morning, everybody, and I'll be back soon. But yes, Culler, it is dropped, and I'll let you continue your monologue, man. So
thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And drive safe as always, man. All right, that was the great rabid dolphin, ladies and gentlemen, Lewis. I appreciate the update. While we're at it, I don't know if I got there. So let me get this house clean and done real quick. I've been babbling on. You all know them. You all love them. Fanatics, hit the link in the description below. All new gear for this new season. You're going to love them. Let them know we sent you. They've got the officially licensed gear for all major sports leagues. And they got great deals over there. All kinds of stuff you can get in their clearance section that's like, good stuff, man. And people just, enough people already bought it. So get over there and check them out, as well as all the latest stuff. Customize yourself a jersey, get a little mini helmet. And after you get that little mini helmet, take it over to Backroom Collections. They'll customize you all kinds of stuff for a little visor, maybe a new paint job, whatever. They do all kinds of custom artwork, memorabilia, home decor. Husband and wife team, check them out. Backroom Collections. Use TFTG at checkout for 10% off your first purchase. And while you're up all night doing all this shopping, hit a Dubby, get a Dubby energy drink. Keep yourself up. All smash, no crash. Shake Money's done enough reviews on them. He reviewed the starter pack, multi-flavored starter pack. He signs off on it, so that means I sign off on it. So get your Dubby energy drinks. Use the link in the description below, as well as TFTG at checkout for 10% off. And we appreciate all three of those. They appreciate us telling you about them and sending you over there. So thank you very much. Real quick shout out to everybody in chat. I want to get into some just news for us. Little pregame talk. Find out, let's talk about how we're going to win this thing. A couple news articles from our point of view and our guys over at SI.com, Fan Nation for the Dolphins, as well as a couple articles from their guys over at their fan site from SI. We'll see what they have to say about the importance of this game. And I don't think I disagree. I think this is a pretty important game coming up and a little more important than usual for a season opener. That doesn't mean that they treat it that way on both sides because, look, it's a business and they all are on their own schedule. But if you're on schedule to win a Super Bowl, every game is important, including the first one. And there's reasons otherwise that this game is important for all parties involved. And we'll see what they have to say about it. So thank you so much for Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. First one in chat this morning. I'm guessing he's got some highlights. So check out Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He's always here helping us out, chopping it up in chat. So we should return the favor. Go watch his content. Trucker Sean, how you doing? Rolling along. Look, we got 2 Dolphin fans in first. Well, 3, including myself. Before the Buffalo fan got his word in. Yeah, waiting at the other show. You were the only one. See, that's what Ali dipped out on you. He's like, hey, we did a little fade on you, a little fake out this morning, Michael K. And you're still third in chat. And people who need to ring the notification bell. That's all there is to it. But Aquavision comes in behind you. Good morning, Aquavision. Good to see you. Kenna, how's it going, Kenna? Ruben Jimenez, Adam Sadowski, member extraordinaire. Follow his lead. Mudbone, good morning, Mudbone. And we got Lakeisha Smith. Good morning. Lovely name. If I've pronounced it correctly. If I haven't, my apologies. Mansa Chill. Bones, how you doing, Bones? Oh, by the way, Bones, F you, man. That's the censored version of the Bones greeting, standard greeting. That's the morning PG version, Bones. F you, man. And I hope you're having a wonderful morning. 72 undefeated. Good morning. NFL is lit. Yeah, I know it's bold, but it's a free tournament. Lit. It's just one of the free DraftKings tournaments. I'm not that. I mean, I'm that bold, but I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I would do a $20 milli maker with that stack. I agree with you, but we'll take a look at it anyway. Hey, we'll do another free one. Get your input on it. I did run it back. I did run my stack back with Austin Eckler. If that, at least I was being halfway smart. But good morning, everybody. NFL Lit is our resident Chargers fan. We rarely play. I mean, we played him last year, but we don't. It's not like he's a division opponent, so we kind of, everybody forgets about that we do have a resident Chargers fan here. But every once in a while, when we do, something does come up, and it is a big game against y'all. There he is, everybody. Chop it up with NFL is lit. He'll tell you anything you want to know about his team. And he's pretty knowledgeable, so don't crap on him. Newfoundland, how you doing, Newfoundland? I'm not sure. You'd have to. Maybe we can get Kahari up here a little later on as the morning opens up. I don't have the answers right off the top of my head, but anybody else that might come up to may be able to answer that for you, Lit, as far as the pot on the league. I don't remember off the top of my head. Crazy Dolphin, aka Mr. Polk, how you doing this morning? And of course, Lewis. We already had Lewis up. Good morning to you again. Lance McDonald from my old temporary neck of the woods. Hope the weather's okay over there for you. Where Lance is from, 15 minutes later, you could be running for your life and hitting the deck. Crazy Midwest. Good morning, JC. How you doing? I see you too. JC, a Bills fan. You can pile on them, guys. Michael K, JC, you can pile on all them. They're the Bills fans. Just don't pile on Lit. He's been pretty respectful as a Chargers fan. Let's see. Who else we got? True Blazer. Good morning. Edward Loftus, good morning to you too. Benjamin Scott, of course. Ryan AP. Good morning, Ryan AP. Been a little while. At least from my end. Apologies if you're here. I just, there's a zillion people in chat. You know how it is. Let's see here. Adam Hurley. Shake Money. Finally woke up. He must have just woke up. That's why we get the beautiful day in Zamunda comment, which it is. I'm like 15 minutes behind the chat, really. Behind in the chat. Oh, no, that's because I scrolled up, Lit. Yeah, I was reading previous comments as I was saying hi to everybody that was already in. Yeah, I'm not actually behind, but what I was reading was behind. Yes, correct. Let's see. Scar 305, good morning. Now I'm actually up to date since I caught up with everybody coming in. So I could do this all day, but Scar's the last one in so far. Anybody else in after Scar? Good morning to you. You're way more important than everybody else. Oh, wait, I got to say hi to Delusional Patriots fan because I don't want him to be the most important. Everybody else that comes in now is way more important than everybody else. And good morning to you. You get the special good morning. So there you go. Now everybody's going to want to show up late to be the more important people. I get it. I just ruined myself. Anyway, good morning. Fins up, everybody. Let me get I want to see fins up in the chat and I want to see likes. Hold on. I got to make sure I hit the right setting in the studio. While I'm doing that, get the freaking likes up and get the fins up in chat. Because if you don't, then I'm going to assume you don't want to talk about Dolphins and I'll start rambling on about all kinds of weird stuff. So get the fins up in chat. And make sure you're hitting the like button. Let's see what we got here. I gotta pull up 500 different pages to find out how good y'all are doing. Ooh, I gotta turn that on. First of all, gotta get that on. Forgot to do this part earlier, before, during pre-show. I was abdicating my duties. So we'll do that, and then 19 likes, 31 people watching. That's a little above 50%, but we got to get that up more, man. Come on, hit the like button. It's not that hard. It's like hitting your right hand blinker when you're the only one on the road and somebody's waiting on you to find out what you're doing and you don't use your blinker. You know how aggravating that is? And it's so easy to do. Just flip your right blinker on. It's the law. Anyway, we're getting up there. We got 22 likes now. We're getting closer. We're only 10 shy of our viewership. So I think that's probably a work for right now. We'll just keep doing it. And of course, we'll start while we're waiting on them likes to get up. We'll start with a little bit of league-wide news. SI has posted their final preseason power rankings 23 hours ago from Connor DRR, or Connor Orr, I'm sorry, that's ORR. Connor Orr, I'm sorry, over at SI.com. Of course, has the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. That's no hard thing to do. He puts the Cincinnati Bengals at number 2. Now, keep in mind, these are power rankings. These are not, we could say, yeah, this team is better than that team or whatever. This is this guy's idea of power rankings after what everybody did in the offseason, how they all looked in camp, preseason games, all that stuff, history from last year, all that stuff factors in. So he has this Bengals at number 2. Good morning, Sackman56. Just coming in with Kane's Heat. I'll squeeze a hello Indy for you guys. Also has the 49ers at number 3. And of course, the Super Bowl runner-up, Philadelphia Eagles at number 4, says, I'm not quite sure what the Eagles will do without messages of inspiration like this one. Jonathan Gannon is gone, left the building, and with him, the energy bus has gone too. Of course, if Gannon is truly following in Nick Sirianni's footsteps, he will parlay one horrific scene of public speaking fodder into the groundwork for a Super Bowl campaign. He's got more to say about that, but you'll have to go read that for yourself. I don't want to take all the guy's thunder, but that's kind of a brief statement about what he believes about the Eagles at number 4. He has the Buffalo Bills ranked number 5. I think number 5 is okay, preferable even for a Bills team and fan base that was utterly exhausted by the weight of its own expectations last year. In certain locales, a winning franchise means just a little bit more. Sean McVay having success in Los Angeles is not going to change the daily lives of the cashiers at House of Bijan on Rodeo Drive selling $880 yellow alligator wallets. And that's a real thing, by the way. Consider this as a season in which the Bills are met with their realities. A QB who thrives because he takes on a lot, a wide receiver core in transition, a defense evolving. This takes time. Buffalo can still be good, but perhaps just the 5th best team for now. Wow. Coming in at number 6, he has Lit's team, the Bolts, Los Angeles Chargers. Stop me if you've heard this before. The Chargers are hot, and my trendy pick to seriously upend the AFC West. At this point, I feel like the currency traders on YouTube who have been predicting the resurgence of the dinar since 2017. At some point, we will be right. It may just take a few years, damn it. Anyway, this is as good a time as any to plug an off-season feature that really informed my newfound excitement in Los Angeles. The Chargers' space and pace offense, guided by Brandon Staley's love of the 1990s Chicago Bulls, could be a legitimate nightmare for teams if Mike Williams and Keenan Allen stay healthy. Oh, well written, sir. Well written. Then, of course, he has the Jags at number 7. Dallas at number 8. Detroit coming in at number 9. The Jets at 10. Baltimore Ravens 11. Seattle Seahawks 12. Pittsburgh Steelers 13. And our beloved Miami Dolphins, he has ranked at 14th. A healthy and progressed Tua Tagovailoa will make a lot of people, myself included, feel silly. So why does Miami come in at number 14 on our power rankings? I do think we're ignoring the impact that a divisional arms race can have on teams as a whole. The Bills are clearly the best suited in the AFC East for this kind of long-term marathon, given the quarterback. But at what point will these teams start clawing each other's eyes out? There is no sweepable division opponent in the AFC East. Further, this ranking reflects an uncertainty as to whether Miami will evolve its offense in year 2 under Mike McDaniel, or whether it will try to major in what it does best at a faster pace. If it's the latter, teams that have spent the offseason watching McDaniel could come prepared with more answers for his speed and lateral motioning techniques. Other notable, he has the Patriots coming in at 19th. So there you go. If you want to read the rest of the teams, besides the ones that have anything to do with us, you'll have to get over there and read the rest of the gentleman's article. And that's at si.com, NFL preseason power rankings. So interesting take from somebody that has no obligation to pad the feelings of the Miami Dolphins fan base. But we'll see. I mean, I do agree in his assessment of Mike McDaniel and what he needs to do to keep this train going and keep this train evolving. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think 9-8 is good enough given the roster that we have put together. You can cite injuries, you can cite all that, but it's a 53-man roster. And, you know, look, you could cite injuries, but the Kansas City Chiefs gave up Tyreek Hill and still moved right along to another Super Bowl. I mean, it is what it is. That's just one example. You had the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl runner-ups still drafting 2 or 3 times in the first round. Like, people's depth only got better. If that's a deficiency for us, then our roster is not as good as people claim it is, because the roster includes 53 men, not just the 22 we put on first down to start the game. Yeah, Andy Reid, of course. And that's what we're trying to find out about Mike McDaniel, Mansachill. That's exactly precisely why it's a fair take about Mike McDaniel, because Mike McDaniel is the new one. He's the one that has something to prove. And if he can make the adjustments, which I suspect he can, I fashion the guy, my belief in that he's an intelligent person. But intelligent people get used to things too and develop habits too. That's another one. Can Tua, I don't want to just keep sticking out the rhetoric of can Tua stay healthy. It's much more than that. Because, Tua was progressing and was getting better and was checking box after box after box for me. And then that got derailed by injury. That's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see, I want to see if he is going to stay healthy. I want to see those boxes continue to be checked. And one of those boxes, whether people want to believe it or not, because it's only the first game of the season, one of those boxes comes this Sunday. Yes, it's a box for Mike McDaniel to be checked, but it's also a box for Tua to be checked. Because Mike McDaniel has to work through Tua. Mike McDaniel can't go out on the field and play for everybody. So it's Tua as well as a bunch of other guys that need to show up for the big lights. And I know again, people don't want to consider this type of game a big game. I get that. But it is in the respect of one of the boxes I think Tua needs to check is, we call it the big game. We call it prime time, whatever label you want to put on it. You can't say prime time because it's not a night game. Okay, fine. You can't say big game because there's nothing on the line. Okay, fine. But there is something on the line. There's something to prove. We can list those things that there are to prove, but they need to be proven. And that makes it a big game. It's a conference opponent. It's a tough team. It's a well put together team. It's a perennial playoff team. It's your contemporary in the draft, if you're speaking of Tua, the quarterback. We have the ability to beat these guys. But it's a really even, well-matched football game, team to team. These are the types of games you need to step up. The difference maker in these types of game is the quarterback. It just is what it is. Doesn't matter who your team is. When it's this evenly matched, the difference is the quarterback. Good morning to Bleezy38, who's joined us in chat. Good morning, Bleezy. Appreciate you coming. Also, CB83, how you doing? I'll answer that question in just a second. I just wanted to let everybody know Bleezy38 doing a great job with Miami Dolphins content. That is the channel's name. Get over and check them out. They're doing some great stuff over there. And appreciate you coming by. As always, Bleezy. FinMily take with CB83 as well, doing some great content. He's asking, Culler, do you think Tua is good enough to be a franchise QB moving forward if he can stay healthy? I remember you saying he wasn't good enough. Is he good enough in this new scheme? Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, when I said that, let's add context. He wasn't good at the time. He's made some, there was things I said he needed to improve. He improved those things, and as such, he's gotten better. Is he good enough? Besides being healthy, he's probably good enough to be a franchise quarterback. Now, if you're just talking solely on gameplay, X's and O's, world beater, no. Franchise guy, probably. If you're able to sustain sufficient weaponry around him, support around him. Now, as he gets older, you would expect that he gets so used to things that he ends up finally being able to elevate people, because, when you get used to something, you don't necessarily need that level of support around you anymore. And that, everybody evolves into that. It gets easier over time, obviously. So, yeah, barring injury. But when you're speaking purely of franchise quarterback, that barring injury thing is a very important thing. I mean, let's be real. That's the one question that does matter. If you throw that away, then that qualifies a lot of quarterbacks, you know. But purely X's and O's as he is now, the way he's gained strength, the way he's throwing the ball, the way I'd say he's franchise material. Do I want better? Probably. Can he ever rise to the level of my particular preference? Maybe. I don't know. I don't have faith that he will. But again, my standard is probably a little unfairly high, given what I grew up watching. You know what I mean? I will admit that. My standard is always going to be above mediocre. But yeah, maybe it is a little high given who I grew up watching. You know, I can be man enough to admit that. But the great thing is, and this is why I believe that this is a big, quote unquote, big game, important game. Because when the helmets start crack-a-lacking this Sunday, it's going to count. Ain't no more preseason. Ain't no more practicing. We're not Bill Belichick. We don't go 2-3 games into the season still evaluating. When the helmets start crack-a-lacking this Sunday, it's going to count. And we're going to see. We saw the performance Tua had last year against these Chargers. And so he hit the bar to improve that is really not that high. So it's going to be very clear one way or the other. Right out of the gate this Sunday, first game of the season. Everybody's healthy, just about. There's no excuses for either side. There's no excuses for Justin Herbert. He's got all his guys healthy. He's got his defenses healthy. There's no excuse for Tua. He's got all his guys healthy. His defense is healthy. You know, so it's on. It's on. No, it's not the end of the world if we take a loss. It is the first game of the season. It's not the end of the world for them if we beat them. It's first game of the season. But when it comes to all the stuff, there is a large list of questions that have a chance to be answered this Sunday. And it's going to be interesting. Am I going to be rats off a ship if we don't win, or if Tua can't rise to the level of, you know, getting over that, hey, we played well, but better luck next time? No. I'm not going to be rats off a ship if we play respectable, if Tua plays respectable and we lose. Even if he just plays average. Look, if he don't lose us the game, there's no reason to be rats off a ship on Tua. On to the next week to see if he can, to see if he can improve. But if he goes out there and stinks up the joint, bro, I mean, for real, that's twice in a row against the same team. You know, same with Mike McDaniel. They're kind of a package at that point. To Ace of Spades' point, you don't want to absolve the head coach either. You know. And remember, in the macro, it's always the coach's fault because the owner sat there with a bald face and told us that the decision of quarterback would be the head coach's. So there you go. It's always Mike McDaniel. It's always going to be Mike McDaniel's fault. Do I think it's a fireable offense? No. But when it comes to getting a better quarterback, it's fireable for the quarterback. I mean, not one game out. I'm not being that extreme, but gosh, man, I mean, it's going to be a lot of ammunition for the people that don't like Tua, or who the ones that do want him out the building. It's going to be a lot of ammunition if he goes out there and stinks up the joint. Let's be real. Unfair or not. You know, me, I'm going to take it like any other game. It's the freaking season. Everybody struggles on any given day. I'm still going to take it just like that and tell you how we're going to beat the Patriots come week 2. It don't matter what happens this week. That's what I'm going to do next week. You know, so until we're 0-1, we're 1-0 in my book. This is I've taken every season this way from the time I was a little pup. Now, back then the numbers were different, but in this paradigm, we're 17-0 until we lose. That's just the way I think. I mean, my expectation, 13-4, my prediction, 11-6, whatever. But we're 17-0 until we lose. I agree, CB83. We saw flashes of good play under Flores, sure. But, man, what have we always said, CB83? What have I always said? What have you heard me always say? His good is really good, and his bad is really bad, man. You know? I mean, it is what it is. If you like playing Texas Hold'em, I guess he's your guy, because that's a volatile quarterback. I just wanted to kind of settle somewhere, you know, not middle. We want him better than middle, but, you know, like collapse the wave function a little bit to it. You know what I mean? And wherever that lands is where it lands. And I would hope that it lands to above average. You know, and in that respect, he would be a franchise quarterback. Again, barring injury, because if you're just going to throw out injury, then yeah, I mean, it's easy to say that, but the injury is on par to what makes a franchise quarterback. The organization is still a business. They're not going to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into a guy with flat tires. They're just not going to do it. I would argue he's got to get, other than the sit-down game, if we're in a really good position seeding, playoff seeding wise, I'm not talking about that, but we got to see a full season and then some. Maybe not 2 full seasons in a row, but we got to see a full season and then a few games. Like the next injury's got to be like, okay, that is apart from the string of injuries that he was going through early in his career. You see what I'm saying? Like, he's got to put some time in for the people that sign the check to have faith in him. It's not a matter of whether we do or not, or whether we can accept a few games out a season. It's a matter of what the calculator says they're willing to pay for as a business. Well, you know, at the time, CB83, again, he was volatile. Like, even now, his bads are really bad. Look at Green Bay. And I'm not going to play the concussion game, okay? Because I can sit here and prove to y'all that his stat line was virtually identical to before taking that supposed hit that gave him a concussion. Okay, so I'm not going to play that game because I can point to San Francisco and the Chargers. Now, he came back, and again, his really good was really good against Buffalo. Other than some questionable coaching decisions cost us that game, in my opinion. I don't think Tua cost us that game against Buffalo and put us in every bit of position to win it. So that's what I mean. That's really, really good. But that was following really, really bad 2 weeks in a row. And you're talking about the same good offense. So the common denominator of volatility there is to a CB83. I'm not trying to throw shade. You're baiting me into throwing shade, but we'll move on. I think I honestly have us flipping the script from last year, and I have us as winning 23-17. That was an early prediction, expectation, whatever you want to call it. And I haven't really seen any reason to move off of it yet. I'll get into why in a second. But I really don't. I mean, I really am not sure about that 50.5 over under, man. I really am not. I mean, maybe. Yeah, I guess I could see it. Because if the game would have ended how it should have last year, given paper and given averages and all that, if the game would have ended how it should have, it would have been us winning 24-23. So that would have only been 47 points. Now, granted, they've got some healthier offensive guys now, but everybody's defense is also healthier. It's the first game of the season. Lit, I tend to agree with Lit. No, and CB83, I didn't mean you were intending to bait me. It just it baits me into it. You know, like it ends up making it sound to others like I'm just piling on to it. You know, and I don't mean to do that. You know what I mean? Just between you and me, to be clear. But Lit says it could be a low scoring game, and I kind of feel like that, man. I feel like my game script for, in my head is like both offenses come out struggling, like is typical for a first game of the season for most teams. Yeah, you get those 2 or 3 outliers that have big scores because those defenses just stink. But I don't think either one of our defenses stink. And defense is usually the first one to get right and gelled as the season opens up. So I kind of think both offenses are going to struggle more than people expect and sit just under that 50.5. Because again, if the game would have went by the averages last year, for our averages, not the Chargers averages, because I know the Chargers fans can point to their averages, points per game and all that. But if you're looking at from the Dolphins points per game averages on offense and defense, realistically, the game could have ended 24-23 with us winning. And that's only 47 points, as I said before. So I'm not sure about that over under, to be honest with you. I'm not sure about taking the over. And that's just, I'm not, this is not meant to be betting advice or gambling advice. It's just one man's opinion. Because the thing of it is when you look at last year, we lost 23-17. And when you look at the end of the year numbers, you look at our points per game on defense, and it was 23.6 given up. For the sake of this discussion, we'll round down. I know we're supposed to round up on the 0.6, but we'll round down because that's what Miami held the Chargers to, coincidentally. A known to be high-powered offense. Granted, okay, fine. You can point out injuries or whatever your all's excuses is that you only put up 23 points against our defense with a DC that everybody hated, supposedly. So the defense, in my estimation, did its job. Actually did 0.6 better than its job. So that's why I rounded down. So, in other words, they gave up a half point less than their season average to the Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert, Mr. 5,000, and all that. Right, you couldn't run the ball, and that's Austin Eckler's responsibility, a star running back. So either Austin Eckler it wasn't his night, or our defense was stopping the run. Either case, they did their job. If you look at their job being their average. Now, shift over to offense for last year, and you look at the end of the year season numbers, and you see that we scored 24.6 or 24.3. I can't remember the exact decimal point, but roughly 24 points a game. That game, we scored 17. Which tells me, if you're speaking of the averages again, that our offense didn't do its job. And despite as bad as Tua played that game, we still only lost by 6 points. Tua clean his nonsense up, you could argue we would have destroyed you guys that game. Clean up half the nonsense, and we get our average, and we win the game 24-23. Do you see what I'm saying? I understand that this sounds like I'm using statistics and logic to weave this game script, but that's why I believe the way I believe. I believe, if anything, we pull out a close mid-20s ball game. Or the script gets flipped and we win 23-17. I don't see either team getting the blowout unless it snowballs at the end. Now, to what CB's saying, I could see if somebody blows out, yeah, you could say, well, we just collapsed because we got a new DC and everything's still a mess on defense and they blow us out, or whatever. Herbert has one of those Dan Marino days. Okay, whatever. But if you're talking about the numbers and like the averages and all that, it's more likely that if there's a blowout, it's because we defeated you guys, like your whole morale and everything, and the game gets out of hand, and a couple stupid touchdowns get put up, like on a turnover or something, or whatever. And you can see, or it could be a total blow up shootout, but still be close and be a 35-34 game. If I just don't see one team being the only one that puts up numbers, given that both defenses are healthy and both defenses are fairly strong. They have a hard time stopping the run, and they have a hard time running against us. That's going to be the key to the game. We've got to stop Boza and Mac from pinning their ears back and going it to it. That is bottom line. However you got to do it at whatever strategy you believe causes that to happen, whether it's jump out to a quick couple score lead so they have to pass the ball, or run it down their throats and play keep away so they feel the need to pass the ball because there's no little time left. Whichever. How about both? The other thing is capitalizing on these long drives. Miami has the ability to take the rock 95 yards all the way down to the goal line and kick a field goal. We have got to cash that in for a touchdown. When your defense gives you a short field, and I'm not just talking about turnovers, I'm talking about when your defense holds them to 3 and out on their own 20, and they have to punt the ball, and you get the ball at your own 40. That's a short field. That's field position shifting. Keep field position. That's the key to this game. Do not let them have field position. The team that controls field position the whole game is 95%, I'd argue, the team that's going to win any given football game. When you're starting every one of your offensive possessions at your own 40, you have a serious advantage against that defense. Now, you may be able to attain that through special teams, good kick returns, good punt returns, whatever. But you also do it by your defense. When they get a 3-and-out stop and your opponent's at their own 15, you have to reward the defense for those drives. The team that wins is the team that rewards their defense for that stop. You cannot just put up the yards and kick the field goal or put up the yards and punt the ball away. You have to score because they're gonna. We could have the best defense in the league. Their offense is gonna score. I highly doubt we're going to shut them out. If you think that we're going to shut them out, I'm pretty sure you can get some pretty dang good odds on your favorite booking site, because put $1 down, you're probably going to win a zillion. We are not shutting out this team. Not to sound negative, but that is lockstep guaranteed. We are not shutting out this Chargers team. Not in their own house. I could argue we might be able to do it in Hard Rock, but man, it would have to be a playoff level performance on defense. I mean, for real. They're going to score. But our defense is going to get stops as well. Our defense could likely get turnovers as well. Our offense has to reward them for that. If they do, we win this game easy. If they do, we blow this team out. If we reward the defense for the short field, we will blow this team out. Mark my words. Y'all that have followed me for a long time hear me say these little things every now and then like that. And I've had plenty of people, even people that don't like me, come back and say, hey, you said this and that, and I was watching a game, and bam, that's exactly what freaking happened. Like, yo, that's exactly what we needed to do. Like, I'm telling you right now, our biggest problem on offense is cashing in all the yardage for points. And that goes along with rewarding your defense for short fields, including the 3-and-out at the 15-yard line where they're punting the ball and you got it at your own 40, 45. You have to put up a touchdown there. It's too easy. And we are joined now, ladies and gentlemen, before I get to the next article, by the great one himself, El Capitan. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, Culler. What's happening, buddy?
You drinking any coffee this morning?
I already drank some. I'm limited myself to a cup a day.
And what's your coffee blend? Your regular?
I like Dunkin' Donuts original home blend. You know, I stick to what I know. You know, I it's odd. I used to drink so much coffee, but now that I've been more active in the gym and and dieting and stuff like that, and coffee just affects me a little differently. It gives me just a little too much jitter and stuff like that. I don't like it, so less and less caffeine. I don't drink any soda hardly much anymore. I've cut down on all of my caffeine intake, which is difficult, but I've done it, and I've done it before. So yeah, I limit myself to maybe a cup a day. Sometimes I don't have any. And I've learned as I've gotten older, when you wake up in the mornings, the longer you can wait awake before you have that first cup of coffee, the better off you're going to be from having a midday crash. So, I try to hold off for at least 45 minutes to an hour before I have that cup of coffee.
No doubt. So Ace is saying Bustelo with a little whiskey. Man, that's hardcore, Ace.
Listen, if I had nowhere to be, I ain't opposed to it. You know, a little bit of Cuban coffee with a shot of whiskey in there, some 101. You know,
Something's
I'm
got to
getting
back
burnt.
off that caffeine a little. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a little diluting it a little bit. Why not?
And we got Larry L joining us in chat this morning.
Oh,
Good
what
morning,
up,
Larry L. How
Larry?
you doing?
Salute, buddy. I seen he had the panel up the other day. I like watching Larry every now and again.
Oh yeah, he runs a tight ship, man. He don't let it get off
Yeah,
the rails too much.
I hope everybody's hit the like button.
Yeah, I forced him to, bro. I mean, we had, I mean, it was pretty ugly this morning. I had to line people up, expose a bunch of people for not hitting the like button, and we were basically just like throwing people into a volcano, dude.
Hey, listen, you know what? Celebrating QB1 the right way is what I'm hearing. You know, I never understood that, man. I literally, even before I had a channel, on the stuff that I'm subscribed to and I don't watch, I'll go by and I'll just open up their latest streams, and sometimes I'll like miss a bunch and go backlog, but I'll go back and hit all the like buttons on it because I know how important it is. It's you can't always be there to support in person or financially or something like that. So I just bit. Look, we got Batman in chat too this morning. What's up, Batman?
He just see him. How you doing, Batman? Good to see you.
I seen CB83 creeping around in there, as well as all the usual suspects from
me and CB83 already had some quality dialogue this morning, you know.
Sure, yeah. CB83 is fun to argue with, but he's not an idiot, even though, you know, you could get that confused. No. He plays the fool pretty well. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. He just isn't always the most logically sound.
No. He'll dig his heels in on something, and you ain't got no reason to sit on that pedestal, but he don't give a damn, which I find funny. I find funny. So you know what I noticed, and I've been listening, and I've been creeping around, you know, amongst Chargers fans and listening to their stuff. Chargers are looking through the Dolphins, man. I can't believe the disrespect. And another take that I've heard, and I want to tread lightly here because something I'm learning about the Chargers and all football fans as the years go on doing this is that delusion in the fan base and buying the narrative that the team sells you is not something that only Dolphin fans deal with. And what I mean by that is Chargers fans are sitting here talking out of both sides of their mouth, parroting what their organization is billing them to and selling them, and they don't even realize how ridiculously stupid it sounds. And the point I'm making is that Justin Herbert, right, has more passing yards than anybody their first 3 seasons. He's set, you know, records as a rookie. I mean, you name it. The kid has done an excellent job at making his talent of throwing the ball something to be reckoned with. And that offense has been potent. Their defense has been problematic, but whatever. Anyhow, these Chargers fans are literally going to say, yeah, we have a great high-powered offense, and then they're going to prop up their quarterback with his passing yards and everything he's done. But in the same breath, they're going to tell you that their offensive coordinator was terrible and didn't know what he was doing. And I'm thinking, well, how's that even possible? If you have a terrible offensive coordinator, your quarterback isn't setting records. So they bring in Kellen Moore, who to me is a guy that has benefited from being in the right place at the right time. I think the guy is fugazi as hell. I really, really don't believe in Kellen Moore. I never did. All that hype, you know, a few years ago, and they're when, you know, he's revolutionizing offense, and I look at Dallas and it's the same shit. It's the same program that they've been running for God, forever now. It's nothing. It's top end running backs, play action, get a star wide receiver, and have a quarterback that hopefully doesn't suck. That's been their
Yeah,
offense for forever.
you're onto something, because this game could very well be just as much a trap for them, as far as their offense could completely be a non sequitur first game of the season. Like, they could be completely like failure to launch.
And I look at a guy like Kellen Moore, and I think that he's I don't know. I could be wrong, but first of all, I just don't like his face. All right. I don't like the guy's face. I don't know why. I've always looked at him. I'm like, this guy is around football players. It's just something about him bothers me. I don't know why. I'm a hater in that way, but thank God he's not somebody I got to deal with in my organization. I don't like his face. And
So
to me, he could be implementing. I don't think he's going to bring that Dallas scheme over here, because it's just a plain Jane, if you want to be real. And what did he do to further Dak Prescott's career? Nothing. Dak Prescott's been the same inconsistent quarterback that's overpaid forever now. And I just think that if he comes in now being emboldened, gonna run the offense because their head coach is the DC guy, which that guy's been a failure. Sorry, but their head coach has been a failure. He spent more money on their defense than anybody for them to be lackluster how they've been. I just wonder, is he gonna come in being Mr. Smart guy, and is it gonna cause them to take a step back?
Yep. So I've pulled up the SI game probability page, right? And they have the chance to win at 44% for the Dolphins, and projected total points 51, and they have the Chargers winning 27-24. And in my opinion, I think we hold off, the Chargers from 3 or 4 of those points. And guess what you get? The exact average I was talking about last year, another 24-23 Miami victory. Had we gotten another touchdown like we were supposed to, according to the averages last year. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah,
they have been pulling it out.
Maybe
Maybe that's home field, because Vegas is going to give a team 2.5 to 3 points just for being at home. So this game is actually even on the odds.
That's true. Great point. I don't think the Chargers have any home field advantage. I guarantee you, when you look at the stadium, it'll be somewhere around 55% Chargers fans. The remaining 45% will be Dolphins fans.
Now, I do
not
want
only
to say,
do we travel well, but the Chargers are the afterthought team in LA for certain.
Right. Now, I do want to say that when we played the Bills last year, this thing right here, pregame, had us at, like, if I remember correctly, was like 17%. So, this don't really bode well for the Chargers, if you ask me, given if you're talking about the things that we do need to improve, if those things are improved, would actually, like, slaughter them. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, like, think about the couple things we need to improve and what it would produce if we did improve those couple things. Mike McDaniel's scheming, Tua, whatever it might be, scoring instead of field goals, or all of the things I've illustrated. We put that stuff together, and I could easily see. That's why I could more see a blowout from us on them than the other way around.
Well, Sackman 56 points out a really important fact that their DC, Ronaldo Hill, is now with the Miami Dolphins. So he's going to have innate knowledge of not only, obviously, because it's a Fangio scheme, so Fangio is the innovator of it, but an innate knowledge of their players and their weaknesses and strengths and how to combat that as a team.
Mm-hmm.
I just wonder, to me, it's week one. I think it's the race to 24 points first team to get to 24 points is going to be the team that is victorious. Unless any team, and this doesn't bode well again for the Chargers, a late turnover in the fourth quarter at any point, it could seal this football game. So I just wonder, what's this Kellen Moore offensive scheme going to look like? And is it going to be emulated of what they had in in Dallas? I do know that he plans on taking his wide receiver weapons and rotating them in and out. So every one of these guys, including Mike Williams, will be lined up in the slot. But it doesn't necessarily affect me or us as Dolphin fans because we got guys that play inside, outside in our DB room from the slot to the boundary. Everybody but really Howard. You want to always keep Howard on the isolation. So I'm not sweating that. I just think that when do they abandon it? Now maybe they won't abandon it this game, but when do the Chargers offense with this scheme's growing pains because they're going to try to run the ball in a power run scheme and play this because they've been a finesse team. Let's call it like it is. Their offense has been very finesse, and they've gotten away with stretching the field and dumping the ball off to their running back. I don't think that's how they're going to play it anymore. I think they're going to be more of a power run game with play action and a little bit more forcefulness. And I think Kellen Moore is going to. Will it pan out? I would bet not. I think they're going to probably at some point in the season abandon all that and go right back to what's gotten them there, and that's just going 3 and 4 wide and letting Justin Herbert make read and react throws and use his arm, and look no further than what Buffalo does. Buffalo, early in Josh Allen's career, made a living off late in games, just letting Josh run around and fucking, try to run the ball on people and throw the ball and whatever. They brought in Diggs. They implement the system. They have all this stuff. But at some point in a game, they throw all that out, maybe in the bathwater, to go back to what got them there. And so I'm thinking that, when do they do that? And if they do that, is Justin Herbert a little bit too out of rhythm, a little bit too, whatever? And is it going to compound his problems, which has been late fourth quarter interceptions? That's what I wonder. Is that going to be a thing? Because they could really this scheme change could really shoot him in the foot. And I personally, I just don't trust. I don't trust Kellen Moore. I'm glad he's not my OC.
Well, he seems a little two-dimensional to me, at least his time in Dallas. So we'll see how that pans out. But real quick, just to see from their perspective, I've got a couple articles that I wanted to summarize real quick, just to kind of give the audience a feel of how they report things from their side. This, according to Fan Nation over at SI, the Charger Report. That's the Chargers corner of Sports Illustrated's website. And this article by Caleb Wynn, Chargers may catch a break with a week 1 opponent on the injury front. Ahead of their week 1 matchup against the Dolphins, the Chargers have been preparing for their opponent since the schedule was released, blah, blah, blah. Though Miami boasts a talented roster all its own, the Bolts defense could have an easier time getting to QB Tua Tagovailoa with recent injury news concerning the offensive line. Obviously, that news being the possibility or the unknown status for Sunday's game for one Teron Armstead. Armstead has been a solid presence for the Dolphins after building his reputation as a great blindside blocker for Breeze in the late stages of Breeze's career. By the time his tenure was over, we know all that. Signed to replace Laramie Tunsil's production at the position. Armstead's blocking for the team has been a big reason for their offense's success. Should the big tackle be unable to suit up for week 1, the Chargers pass rush duo of Boza and Mack should have an easier time in Miami's backfield to pressure and lay some hits on Tua. winning their matchup at SoFi Stadium last season, Justin Herbert outplayed his counterpart and silenced much of the doubt about who the better young arm was. What? After a dominant performance, 23 points against our trash coached defense? Really? Miami, you allowed Miami to hold you
hold on a second, Culler.
to their average points per game. And you call that a dominant performance?
It was a pretty decently dominant performance because you got to remember there was that Tyreek Hill scoop up, fumble, and score. Without that kind of one-off break play, they really listen. Call it like it is. Their defense held our offense.
No, I'm talking
about.
Gave
us a look.
Yeah, I mean, no. Wait a minute. You're bringing up defense and all this stuff. The article says Justin Herbert outplayed his counterpart, which could be possible because Tua obviously had a bad game. But it says Justin Herbert outplayed his counterpart and silenced much of the doubt about who the better young arm in the AFC was.
Okay, that's bullshit. After
a dominant performance.
He didn't dominate. That's for real. And no one's been there hasn't been doubt on who has the stronger, better arm. It's who's the better quarterback. Having a great arm don't mean a damn thing. You got to be able to play.
He only put up our average points per game against our defense. 23. That's not dominant. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't even get our defense held teams to 23.6. They only
if you want to be real, about it, as poorly as our offense did that game, they should have racked up and really dominated us.
That's what I'm saying.
It's an opportunity missed to dispel all the narratives.
That's what I'm saying. That game could have got way out of hand against us, bro.
It'd be different if the Dolphins had 14 points and they had 28. Then all right, now you've had a dominant performance.
So he goes on to say, though speedy Tyreek Hill scored 2 touchdowns and will still be an issue for the Chargers, less time in the pocket for Dolphins passing attack should limit their offense's effectiveness to open 2023. Jalen Waddle was mostly silent in the game as well and could stay that way should Miami's blocking be forced to play without Armstead. LA certainly won't take any opponent for granted, but a victory over Miami would definitely be helped if one of their best players can't take the field. Yeah, talk about a truism. Like, seriously. They act like we're going to only go with 10 guys because Armstead is hurt. You know? Like, we're still putting 11 guys on the field.
Kendall Lamb, one of the Miami Dolphins' best kept secrets right there. Book it.
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, even if he's serviceable, we'll be fine. Like he said, Waddle wasn't even involved. What happens if Waddle is involved? I mean, again, it could get ugly for either team. You know, in that regard. But the other article I wanted to quickly get to, how the Chargers week 1 matchup could already have playoff implications. This is from
now that's a good observation. Both those teams can be fighting over seeding.
Yep. And this is from Matt Levine over at Chargers Nation. Every game matters throughout the course of the NFL season. One loss could have massive ramifications on playoff seeding or even on any momentum that has been gained. The Los Angeles Chargers and Miami Dolphins are getting set to square off in their season opener on Sunday at SoFi. Both teams are coming off years where they made the playoffs, and both have expectations for themselves to improve that success. So we should expect a playoff-style setting when they take the field against one another. After all, these two teams are expected to be some of the better squads in the conference, thus setting up potential seeding implications in the game. The Bolts will need to figure out a way to contain the overall speed of the Dolphins' receivers. Miami loves to use different schemes on offense to get their guys into open space, which proved very successful last season. Both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle will give the Chargers secondary some fits, so they'll need to be ready at all times. Whoever wins will overtake the other in terms of head-to-head matchup if they were to end the season with the same record. So even this week, one matchup means something, and both teams will take it very seriously. The Chargers and Dolphins faced each other last season with the Chargers. Yeah, we know. We should be in line for another close matchup as these two explosive offensive teams take the field for the first time this year. And I don't disagree. If you start to pile on, yes, Larry, they are almost a mirror image of each other. I agree. But if you start to pile on the other aspects, Capitan, the fact that Mike McDaniel arguably got embarrassed in the last game, or should feel some embarrassment, you know what I mean? He's had the entire offseason to plan for this game and rectify any issues that he saw for himself.
And the defense that gave the Dolphins the biggest problems last year, we brought in the innovator of it, the guy who has answers for these high-powered passing
knows how to
offenses.
defeat it. Otherwise, exactly.
And their defensive coordinator as well. I really, I'm not saying the deck is stacked against it. And I made this observation the other day that both these teams up and down are extremely eerily similar. The only thing is I would give the Dolphins the edge in depth a little bit, because to me, their team on both sides of the ball doesn't really have the depth in their wide receiver room, doesn't really have the depth in their defensive line that I think the Dolphins possess.
Exactly. V21 says half our defense was gone, but yet we still held them to 23. That's precisely what I've been saying. Like, we did our job on defense. We held their high-powered offense to 23 points. We simply need to score more.
Exactly.
The key for us is offense.
Yeah, and you know what? They had injuries, but we had just as much, if not more. I'll tell you one thing I'll be looking for is now I feel like Teron Armstead is in the boat of maybe not to play, but I don't know if we've had any confirmation on J.C. Jackson being ready from that patella injury that he had. I mean, is he going to be ready to go?
Saying he's going to go.
But the Dolphins have been saying that, Teron Armstead's going to be ready week 1. So I feel like, they're both in the same boat right now as far as going to play or not going to play. And to me, I'd be testing J.C. Jackson early and often to see how he reacts. It's one thing to come out after an injury and play full game speed. It's another to come out and play against guys like Waddle and Hill, who are quick twitch and have speed and burst that is hard to get and keep up with without injuries happening and stuff like that. So I think there's again, both these teams are very, very similar. I'm the reason I'm giving the edge over the Chargers to the Dolphins is defensively alone. That to me, the defense that comes out better in this game, the offense can hold their own against the other defense further. And it's a race to 24 points. And I think the team who gets there first is the team that wins. Doesn't necessarily mean that getting 24 points wins the game, but I think the team that gets there first puts the pressure on the other team to play into their defensive scheme that they want them to do.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And again, you get out to an early enough lead and enough points, you're going to nullify Bosa and Mack.
Yeah, especially I think even more important than anything that the Dolphins offense can do. And I think there's a lot this offense can hang its hat on with the passing game. To me, that run game, the Chargers were the worst in the AFC. They were bottom 4 or bottom 3 in the entire league defending the run. I know they brought in this seasoned linebacker Kendricks, who I think will help them, but he is that seasoned. And if this outside zone blocking can continue how I seen it in preseason and practice, we can chip away 4, 3, 4, 5 yard runs at will, and it's gonna keep the linebackers on the balls of their feet. It's gonna keep their edge rushers sitting down, waiting to read and react, and it's gonna allow Tua to use that play action and that RPO and just dice them up. And once that's happening, and you can see it, it's like a zen that happens. When that run game's going and you're freezing the linebackers and freezing the edge rushers for that half a click.
It's poetry in motion.
Dude, Tua is so good at pulling that ball out and hitting that soft zone that you created by freezing for that half a second. And that quick release he has, it's the one thing that when we drafted him, I was most excited about, because I was like, if they can do this, it's going to be extremely hard to defend.
Absolutely. And sorry for the mic change. I'm mobile for a second. As the sun starts to rise down here, I have morning duties. But anyway, so Sackman, I think it was, put in about where was it? Where'd it go? A-Chain and Eazy-E will be let loose this Sunday. And you know what? And we're going to get into the DFS, a little sample DFS talk here in a bit. And it just kind of write down what my theme is kind of going with is, is there these guys, you got about 3 guys on our team that, could very well be the type of guy that you want to throw on a lineup or two as a sleeper / differentiator when it comes to can they reasonably be expected to maybe get a touchdown? Not all of them. In other words, not all of them are going to get a touchdown, but you could easily imagine a scenario where Chris Brooks, on 2nd and goal from the 7, just takes it right up the knife and knifes in for a touchdown, or you can see.
Yeah, Chris Brooks might only get 5 touches for 20 yards, but one of them's a TD.
Right. And you might have a case where A-Chain, maybe they get him in a situation where he's in open field with the ball and takes it to the house.
Or getting a couple of pass attempts as well. We know he's got solid hands.
Yep.
That could be really good.
Maybe he turns out into the flat on the goal line and catches a touchdown or something. You know what I mean?
Yep. Or even catches one inside the red zone and takes it 25 yards or so.
Right. And then apply that to Eazy-E. I could see a jet sweep at the 5-yard line taking it to the pylon. I could see one play, an end around at midfield that takes it to the house. You see what I'm saying? Each one of these guys has potential to throw up a touchdown that nobody else in the league is expecting or even realizing. So that could be a very good, if you got a spot on your lineup where you need to get a cheap guy, a $4,000 guy on DraftKings, let's say, where you're punting, you want to punt that position to be able to allow yourself to get another guy that's, the value as far as salary says, hey, this guy is going to be much more. Then these guys, all 3 of these guys are potentials to just get a touchdown when you need a guy to get a touchdown for $4,000. You know what I mean? On your lineup. I wouldn't doubt it if either one of them scored this week.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing I'm going to be looking for is, now Mike Gesicki's out of this offense. There is touches that went his way that I think they plan to distribute to guys like Cedric Wilson and Eric Ikuzama and stuff like that. I also want to see how now Durham Smythe and what touches he gets in the passing game. But most importantly, between him and Alec Ingold and how they're going to implement them as the blocking to help set up this run game.
Right.
Bro, it's got to be the message all off season. It has to be. We came out, Mike McDaniel, found this passing game. There was a lot about him proving to not only the NFL, but to the Dolphins and the Dolphins fan base that Tua, as a passer, is something he can make work, and not only make work, but make great in the NFL.
Right.
I don't need to learn anything about this team as far as its pass offense goes, or what Mike McDaniel and Tua Tagovailoa can get done.
Exactly.
What I need is what I anticipated he was going to do last year, done this year, and that's this zone blocking
Bingo.
and a forceful running game. And I want to see it early and often. And, there's ebbs and flows to the season. You come out, you're running the ball, you're doing good. And then you kind of, by week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, those are the weeks that your quarterbacks are throwing 350 yards a game plus and dicing people up. And then as you come back to the season and the winter comes and things get a little bit more ground down, now you're back to the run game a little bit. And to me, it's going to be just super paramount for this offense to put not only good runs together, but put that on tape. Because now when we go into week 2 and week 3 and beyond, these teams are preparing. Everyone knows what Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Tua can do in this offense. You start giving them, fits in the run game, it's just defensive coordinators are pulling their hair out, bro. They're pulling their hair out.
Right. Now, and I wanted to address Lewis real quick, because Lewis, he always likes to take the chance to, to get Smythed. But anyway, believe it or not, as big a Smythe guy as I am, and I'm glad he's tight end 1. That kind of prices him out for that type of player that I'm talking about when it comes to a fantasy outsider. Now, you could argue, yes, a lot of people wouldn't put him on the roster, and that may get you a touchdown when other people didn't get one. Okay, I get that. But for the price, because he's a tight end 1, they're going to have him priced up to tight end 1 levels. So you're not going to get the value. The real value play, and if I were to add a 4th guy to that list of players, I would say, if you're going to punt the tight end spot, Julian Hill. Because, hey, if you're talking about a 2 tight end goal line situation where the whole entire defense is going to focus on tight end 1, you can have Hill maybe kind of post over a little bit. All of a sudden, he's wide open catching a crosser, or leaking out to the other flat, or something, or towering over somebody for a big one across the middle, you know what I mean? Or something where,
honestly,
who's Julian Hill? You see what I'm saying? That's the fantasy play if you're talking about punting the tight end position for a low-priced guy.
This early in the season, and I'm just going to, if we're going to do a little fantasy, this early in the season, early in Hill's career, I wouldn't even be surprised if he doesn't even get on the field week 1.
Agreed.
And that when they rotate in, it's Tyler Kroft coming in there.
Agreed. And that's why I was hesitant to add him to those 3. You know what I mean? But if you're talking about an outside, and you got to punt the tight end spot, you're not going to put Smythe in there, because his price puts him at just below the stars of the league. And he's not a star. I've never argued that he's a star. You know what I mean? So, if in other words, you could spend $5,100 on Smythe, or $6,500 on Mark Andrews, or $4,000 on Julian Hill. You see what I'm saying?
I'm going Mark Andrews 10 out of 10 times.
But if the question is between Smythe and Hill, you're likely not to get, even if you got a touchdown out of either one of those, that touchdown is going to cost you $5,100 for Smythe. You see what I'm saying? And it's just as probably rare that he gets a touchdown as Julian Hill would. Maybe you're right. Maybe Kroft is that guy to get the extra 7 or the extra 6 that nobody saw coming.
You're picking up Kroft for $2,900. That's the bargain. You know what I'm saying? That's the bargain right there.
Well, the lowest I noticed on DraftKings this year, their bottom dollar is $4,000 now. So like the crappy, never played a game wide receiver that nobody's heard of is $4,000.
Jeez, that gets stupid. Why don't you?
I know. Just makes it tighter. Makes it harder for the computers. It makes the computers generate more nonsense lineups. So it makes it nicer, actually, for the guys using their head to pick lineups.
I guess.
I guess that's the thought that I just
think it just
noticed
comes
that.
down to the fact that they figured out people aren't really good at math.
Right. Now, Chris Brooks, on the other hand, who has a certain skill set that the other running backs don't have, which also gives him a more chance of being featured in a short yardage situation out of the blue, on 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 6. You saw what Dearness Johnson did to us in the preseason. Something like that, where, yeah, ETN's their guy, but boom, out of the blue, Dearness Johnson knifes our defense for 7 yards up the gut for a touchdown. You know what I mean? Or whatever it was, 10 yards or who knows. But that's the type of play I'm talking about, and that's the type of runner Brooks is. He's bigger, but yet still fast enough to hit the hole hard and just boom, all of a sudden you're in the end zone. Defense didn't even see it coming. Another example of that would be, was it Jamal Anderson? Is that his name, Capitan, last year for the Lions, that just took it right up our gut for a touchdown from the 7-yard line?
I can't remember, but yeah.
I think it was Jamal Anderson, I want to say. Maybe I got the name slightly off, but you know what I mean. They're third back. They're whoever heard of that, or whoever remembered that guy, and he's just boom, Jordan Howard, you know what I mean? Well, where's Jordan Howard been? Well, I don't know. Catch him on 2nd and 7 on 2nd and goal. You know what I mean? That's usually where you'll find a guy like Jordan Howard, and everybody will be like, "Oh yeah, that's why he sucks, because that's the only time he shows up." On some odd team, running it up the gut for a touchdown on you. And you'll never see him again. But hey, that could be Brooks this week. That could be Aching. That could be Easy E. Could be any one of those 3 guys.
Well,
so that being said, Capitan, you're here, so I'm gonna suck off your energy, bro.
yeah, that's
what the audience what they need to do at the hour and 45-minute mark of every show.
Well, first of all, they need to hit the like button. That's number one. Make sure to check out all the great content that we have here on the program. Starting with myself at the FinMily tailgate. You got Culler with the coffee and a cup of colors and all that good stuff. Ali with the top of the tailgate, co-hosted by Culler, and Broken Takes, as well as Late Night Exhale. You got Shake Money with his co-host Lou doing the Smoke Lounge and the Drive Times, and then Lou going to be doing the wrap-up shows on Sundays, bringing us home after the game. You got KP with the fantasy football. I think we still have one spot open for tonight's fantasy football draft.
I was just about to ask if you got any further update as to whether that got taken or not. I did. I saw the text message this morning or last night.
I think that we still do. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. So anyhow, and then as you guys know, Crypto with his shows on Mondays and Thursdays. Doing the thing, bringing great content, and Talk 7 TMI Tuesdays. It was a different TMI Tuesday, but still within the same confines of how we really just get off on a tangent, man. It's a nice break from all the football stuff, so it's fun to say the least.
And usually by Tuesday, we all need that.
Yeah. Tuesday is a perfect day for decompressing and getting into the weeds with just nonsense, and gets a little political sometimes, gets a little crazy. So
yep, definitely. And tonight's show, I understand we're starting the show at 9:00 for the fantasy draft, and the draft will go at 9:30. So there's going to be a half hour to get the show going.
Yep. And so if there is still one spot, make sure you guys are there at 9. Put it in chat that you want it if the spot's open. I see Money Mitch is saying he'll take it. Be there at 9 to say you want the spot, and it's KP's show, so he can make the assessment of who gets it and whatnot. So
yeah, in case there's any multiple people that want it. As far as I know, Mitch should be able to just go right over to the site and sign up for it, right? Or is it that it's taken and KB has to like cancel out the other guy or something?
I think the other person walked out, so it is still open. So you can go back to the fantasy football show and find the link in the live chat and probably do that then. But I don't know. Again,
But last resort, you can definitely if it's still available at 9 o'clock, then yeah, you can certainly petition Kahari directly.
yeah, I've got enough on my plate. I can't even think.
It's gonna be fun, man. I mean, I like watching this the results from afar, but yeah, man. I mean, you know how I am, bro.
I love, you know, me and you, Culler. We like to do a little bit of football betting. We like to do a little bit of fantasy football. So,
and I like the season long stuff. I like doing it, but the problem is for me is that would be my life, and like you would never get another
yes,
color show again. You know what I mean?
it's you know, it's kind of like you know, I'm trying to get Brandon the bookie to get back in the fold of things. You know, they're expecting another kid. My sister is over 9 months pregnant. She's about to pop any day now. She's miserable, bro. She's miserable. So, but you know, I want him to do it because I know it's, you know, between college ball and everything else, but he's got such limited time. He's gone during the weeks, home on the weekends, got a baby coming. So we won't probably get Brandon Bookie as much this year as we had in years prior. But when we do, we'll be sure to take advantage of all that as it comes. So,
yeah. That being said, anybody that's like, I mean, I'd like to, you know, I'd like to plan on, you know, a regular show to talk about that stuff. So if anybody's out there, like one of y'all really understands like the lines and all that stuff, you know, that's what we rely heavily on Brandon for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and his inside information. I mean, dude, he's Brandon since forever, since he was a little kid. You know, back with his grandpa. I mean, they would drive from, you know, Central Florida to Mexico twice a month.
Right.
He's been a long road truck driver. You know, he knows every casino freaking east of the Mississippi, and that is not an exaggeration. He knows the doorman. He knows the freaking the guy who you're supposed to know if, you know, you're gonna get all your shit comped. He just knows so many. I mean, bro, he knows the names. He knows the names of the freaking guy that's on like the boat that goes like the casino boat. He knows the freaking captain's name. Like he just knows so many people involved in and betting and stuff like that, that he's made so many friends that, you know, when there's like an inside freaking reason why, hey, this 10-point line that they're getting is upside down, they're going to get smoked today because the quarterback's girlfriend broke up with him and he's just not in it, and they're going to get smoked. Like, I'm serious, dude. He's called me up and goes, listen, throw me 20. I'm putting this money in this thing. I got this line. We're going to smash it. And we've smashed it. And so, you know, it's that kind of inside information I really want to hone in on from him. But, you know,
as well as the tools that he has access to, I'm sure, from being such a, you know, in the know, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, we just simply don't have, like, I simply don't have those resources. I could talk about roughly about betting lines, but you follow my advice, you're going to lose all your money. That's all there is to it.
I've always done decent. But
I'm good at explaining bankroll management, but I'm not good at implementing it.
Yeah, man, yeah, I know. I'm good at telling you how to do it. I'm just not good at doing it myself.
Right, exactly. So that being said, what do you got for this week's line at 50.5? I think it's even gone up to 51.
For what? Explain.
For the over under on the game this week. I think it's at 51 points now.
Man, I'd take the under, bro. I'd take the under.
I'm really tempted to as well. And our resident Chargers fan kind of concurs too. He thinks it's going to be a little lower scoring.
Yeah,
People
I see
expect.
this. I see this game maybe getting to 48 points, but I don't see it crossing the 50 threshold. I just really don't. Again, I could see this game 17-24 type of score, and
Right.
the
That's what
only
I
thing
said.
that's a
Flip the script
caveat.
from last year. You know.
The only caveat that could come is if one of these defenses gets a turnover and you're on a short field and you get an easy touchdown or something like that.
Right.
Other
Or
than that, I
early
see this
season
as
jitters makes one makes it snowball for one of the other teams. You know what I mean?
I don't see any of these teams. Offensively and defensively, it's not like they've had wholesale changes in position groups. So
Exactly.
they're kind of rolling in. Both these teams are hitting their stride, and both have entered into their perceptive windows of competitiveness.
And
And
both need
to
a
me,
team like their opponent this week to
yes,
find out where they're at. You know.
yeah. As far as litmus test goes, both these teams are really in a position to test their grit against somebody who really is going to give them a run for their money on both sides of the ball. So
And
this
I
is a
don't
this is a
think
big game.
anybody's taking any plays off this week. I do not. I don't care if it's week one. I
No.
guarantee you, it's slobber knocker time. It's a barn burner this week.
Well, listen. Not only that, these guys are excited, bro. It's week one for them too, man. They're
Hmm.
they're jazzed up. They're excited. Like, what are
Yep.
we talking about here?
And barn
They're
burner
jazzed
means
up.
you throw out all the stops. You go out to the battlefield and you burn the barn behind you. That's what a barn burner is.
Yep. You leave nothing but destruction in your wake.
Hmm. Or no, you ain't got nothing to come back to. It's
Yeah.
win and or no, lose and that's it. You know,
That's it.
a barn burner, a kitchen sink thrower. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, as I said earlier in my monologue, if last year's game turned out the way the averages said they should have, from our point of view, as the Miami Dolphins, we would have won the game 24-23, and that's only 47 points. Now, both defenses have gotten healthier. I don't understand why so many people think that first game out of the season, that with a first year offensive coordinator on one side, well, not first year in the league, but first year with the team, and then a first year DC on our side, I don't see 51 points, dude. I just don't.
I don't call this a first year DC at any juncture. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're talking about fucking Fangio over here, bro. Again, and he was able to get their DC a guy who their defense is running their scheme. I mean, look,
Yep.
the master, the teacher, and the master and the student get really take to school this week.
Yep.
That to me, this defense and this running game. That's the key to victory. The team, you said something earlier in this episode about winning the position battle. To me, the team who has the time of possession is the victor. That's it. Because if the Dolphins have 3 minutes more of time of possession, that means late in the game, the Chargers are trying to win it, and they're going to push the ball down the field,
Yep.
and that's exactly where you want them
And
because
guess
this
what they're
defense is
not
going
doing
to.
on defense?
They're
They're
not
teeing
sitting there
off on
waiting.
your quarterback.
Yeah, they're not teeing off on ours, and we're teeing off on theirs.
Exactly. Because they're forced to pass. Whichever team is forced to pass first is the loser in this game.
So I don't foresee this game being like how. Here's a good indicator. Okay, the Lions game last year, the Baltimore game last year, those games are not going to be like this game. And both of those games, it was like everyone said, that's it. We're throwing everything. We're pulling out all the stops. I think this is going to be a lot more methodically done, a lot more, chess match other than just a muscle versus muscle type of thing. And
And
it's going
let's
to
be
come down
real,
to the
Mike
line of
McDaniel,
scrimmage.
right? And Mike McDaniel is much more confident coming around the second camp, second year. He's much more confident with what he knows about his pieces.
Well,
He
look
had
no further
no
than the
idea last year
offensive
what
line.
he could. He had no idea what piece he could trust last year and what he could put any faith in. This year, whether it's good stuff or bad stuff, he can count on certain things now when he's game
Color,
planning for this game.
look no further than the lack of offensive line that we had in addition.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphin fans unanimously cried and whined about wanting different things on the
This is true.
offensive line. And Mike McDaniel remained convicted in the guys learning and knowing his scheme and being effective in it. I mean, Dolphin fans had a laugh. Apparently, Liam Eichenberg is the starting guard. And I get that. I think we all expected Wynn to be in that position. I don't know. Maybe Wynn plays left tackle. Who knows? To me, though, I'm until I see otherwise, I'm going to put my faith in the coach that knows better. And now if he sticks his neck out and this offensive line is got woes, then I'll deal with that then.
No doubt, no doubt. Man, it's going to be fun. That's one thing it's going to be is a fun game.
And I just can't wait. We got, it's all speculatory all off season. There's additions, there's, inside information we receive here and there on source material from trades and talks and stuff like that. Sometimes the lines and the water gets a little muddy, like when we were in the Jonathan Taylor trade talks. I was hearing something about the Cowboys involved, and there was no confirmation on how the Cowboys were involved because I know the Dolphins and them had some form of correlation. I thought it had to do with the Jonathan Taylor trade. Turns out it had nothing to do with that. It had to do for a swap between their DBs that both needed change of sceneries.
Right.
But again, this is the stuff we hang our hat on in the off season, and it's all to get to this point where there's additions, are quieted, and even maybe during the year there might be a late addition or something like that, or even something at the trade deadline. But it's stuff you don't really
There
get.
ain't no star coming in now. There ain't no new offensive lineman coming in now. There ain't no, none of that. That's all done.
Well, it's done for now, and it's tabled for the fan base and us who speculate. Honestly, this is when the real big moves get made in the GM office because no one's paying that much attention. So,
well, I just mean for this game's purposes, we are what we are.
Yes, this is what it is.
We're going into battle with what we got.
Yep, and look, say what you want about Chris Greer, but he gives these coaches what they want, and if come mid-season something is needed and something's out there, they'll get that too. So, but as we sit currently constructed, this is the team they wanted. Because if they wanted something different, Chris Greer would have got that. So I gotta, and listen, look at this outside zone and how it's operated to effectiveness. It's not been like the Dallas offensive line where it's 5 freaking first rounders up there and just being a powerhouse pushing people around. It's always been a mishmash of guys up and down the draft board, whether they're your guys you drafted or guys you brought in. They're just dudes that can be coached up and implement the type of technique you need to operate this scheme to perfection. And I think they like to stay a little bit fast and light. And I've always anticipated that in this outside zone scheme because they want these guys to get off the ball quick, and they also want them to get downfield even quicker. Look at Austin Jackson. Shed some pounds, got a little shredded up. Liam Eichenberg, I've been saying, why isn't this man putting on weight to anchor it down? Well, the reason is because they want to use him to get out to the second level. I don't really like him doing that because his short arms he keeps reaching. I hate that. It drives me nuts. But Listen, we haven't seen
Do
enough
you
from
think
me and
there's any?
Meichenberg to hate.
Do you think it's going to be any hard at all for the guys that have been there on that team offensively to buy into a new thing if Kellen Moore came in and tried to kind of change too much up? Like, for instance,
That's
I was thinking about the fact that Austin Eckler was their premier receiver last year when it comes to production, had far more production when it comes to wide receiver metrics than even Mike Williams and Keenan Allen did. So, you know, that being said, if he's coming in, who we know he likes, he's a traditional type of, you know, run the ball a couple times, then, you know, throw on third down type of guy, which you could argue is, you know, didn't really help Dak out very much. But, you know, it's not as if Eckler maybe wants, he already was having issues wanting to be there in the first place with wanting a new contract and all that stuff. I mean, so besides Eckler, even Eckler, is it possible that we may see a little slow start out of the gate because a lot of their older guys haven't necessarily bought into what Moore's trying to do yet? Like, doesn't that take time? Like, isn't a new offensive coordinator just as almost as good as a new head coach when it comes to, you know, okay, we got this thing we're going to do now. If we expected too much out of Mike McDaniel last year and it was proven that we expected too much out of him, then why would they expect so much out of Kellen Moore to just keep that offensive train going, especially when we've got a new guy with Fangio on as our D coordinator, and obviously defense is going to get acclimated a lot quicker. Plus our guys are just superstars on defense, you know, so I don't know, man. I mean, I'm really thinking if anybody's going to blow anybody out at this point, I mean, I'm not so sure about it being the Chargers blowing us out. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you're asking a guy to come in as a new offensive coordinator and constructing a game plan against a top defense or what's slated to be a top defense. I mean, in one off season, not knowing player from a hole in the ground, you know, again, not knowing what he can trust, good or bad, out of different players. I've lost Capitan, so I guess the question is more for chat in general. But why does everybody immediately? Because you know what I mean, like when it doesn't pan out or they don't have a stellar season, by the end of the year, their fans and everybody else in the league is going to be saying, "Well, it's a first-year offensive coordinator. It's Herbert's 50,000th offensive coordinator," or whatever. I much likely see that scenario, that narrative playing out than Kellen Moore comes right in, blows out the Miami Dolphins, and moves right along. You see what I'm saying, Capitan?
I do. I kind of lost you there for a little bit because my phone overheated because I had it.
I hope you got
in.
the gist of it with the Austin Eckler thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To me, you know, listen, I if I was Austin Eckler, I'd be worried because I think they're going to put him, you know, a lot of power runs in between the tackles.
Something he's not going to be accustomed to doing.
Not that he can't do it. I just think that it's gonna wear and tear.
Right.
Turn around. It's gonna be
especially
week 9.
Since that was already their weak suit. Like that's something we took care of business on last time we faced him. It's not like they ran the ball all over us. You know, we both need to run the ball more, but who's more ready to do that? Our guys or Eckler? I mean, Eckler is, I don't know if he's wanting that. You know, ground and pound. I hear your background, but I don't hear you, El Capitan. I'll make sure.
I'm just, you know, multitasking here.
Oh, right on. So I mean, yeah, I mean, look, and I'm wondering how much that also translates to other veterans on the team that are like, okay, now this guy's got me doing this and this and that and the other. I basically feel like I'm starting my career all over again. You know,
yeah, I know.
How many guys are gonna, you know, before the trade deadline? How many guys are gonna try to put themselves in a business position to get out of there?
You know, I don't know. that comes to guys that quit on the team. I don't think that's so much. But listen, if this thing has growing pains and has it early, and at some point midway through the season they abandon this system that Kellen Moore was brought here to be the brainchild of, and they're going back to what's gotten them their bread and butter at just pushing routes down the field, Herbert trying to find people down the field, and then their offensive line, which is a really good offensive line, holding their blocks long enough on a 7-step drop for Herbert to then go, well, nobody's open, I'm going to throw it to the running back. That's what they've done. It's been nothing fancy. It's just been effective. They've got good weapons, and they've got a strong arm quarterback. And when you have a strong arm quarterback, you put pressure on defenses that if these guys are going down the field, you need to account for them because that guy can fit it in there and get you down there. So if they're now covered downfield, then there's now room made for a 1-yard pass to the running back. It hasn't been fancy. It has been effective, but you know what it isn't? It isn't going to get the job done. It's not. It's not going to get the job done. It's good as far as bread and butter goes, but you can't fill up on bread and butter. You need meat and potatoes, and that's what they brought in him for. And I personally do not feel, this is why I wanted to over Herbert, I do not feel that he is a quarterback capable of operating systems to its elite degree. I feel like he eventually will throw it out the window, just like Josh Allen does, just like a lot of these quarterbacks do, and go on what they know and go on what they can do. And offensive coordinators like Kellen Moore, who, let's face it, he got fired. Okay, they brought him in. They're billing this retread guy who has rode off the coattails of his predecessors on an offense that has a great offensive line and decent enough weapons to then now be a guy that's going to come in and reinvent the wheel for fucking Justin Herbert, a guy I think isn't capable of being that way. To me, the Chargers are either going to get it figured out, and there's this perfect marriage between Kellen Moore and Herbert, or they're looking for a new offensive coordinator next year and pissed off.
They have that to answer already this week, and that's why I'm saying it's like a big game. Like there is a lot on the line for both teams. This is a slobber knocker, man, because
it's huge. It's huge.
It's very much more likely that we hear the narrative I said before at the end of the season for this team, for the Chargers. Oh, first year OC, you couldn't expect much. I can already hear that narrative. That is much more likely a narrative than, oh, wow, they blew out the Miami Dolphins and went on to freaking with a first year OC, No, not Kellen Moore, man.
That's the thing. I don't look at Kellen Moore and think, wow, there's an offensive guru if I ever seen one.
On the other token, our first year guy on defense has rings on his fingers.
See, yeah. And not only that, they are, listen, what he did.
Who's more likely to get their ship straight, their ship a sail in the first year? I'm sorry, Captain, I've been meaning to interrupt you.
Well, I would say this. 2 things for both those coaches. Number one, Kellen Moore already came into a ready-made offense that has something they can lean on. You know what I'm saying? Again, when is Kellen Moore?
So did Mike McDaniel last year.
Yes, but when is Kellen Moore going to take what he's wanting to get done and say, I got to do what we can do and not what I want to do? That's just gonna be a carbon copy.
That's the key right there.
And then
do I come in here and let them dictate what I do, or do I come in here bringing my whole new thing that's going to take 2 or 3 years to gel?
Well, they're gonna do his thing. They're gonna try it, and they're gonna continue to try it. If they do have to abandon it,
that could allow us to jump out to a quick lead and nullify Bosa and Mac. That could portend bad things for them this week.
Well, they're gonna get their 1 or 2 game mulligan early in the season for this is the offensive growing pains, and that's how they'll ride the excuse for if they drop one to the Dolphins, which I don't think they're gonna drop one. I think we finna take one. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, listen, Boyer and this defense didn't do as bad, and taking into account all of the injuries we had throughout the year, wasn't that bad either. And as the injuries mounted over the season, Boyer was able to pivot. There was extremely bad calls made in situational football, which Boyer's greenness really showed through. To me, Fangio is getting not only a healthy defense, but a star-studded up and down on all three levels of the freaking football. Handpick the linebacker he wants.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And has looked at whatchamacallit, Adrian Van Ginkel, and seen what I've seen. To me,
Exactly.
there is a much higher propensity that Fangio comes in here with this healthy defense. That, listen, you just put them boys out there and let them play as a team, they're going to do fine. Much less having a freaking genius on the defensive side of football.
That's what I thought. You can't micromanage this defense. They're good enough and smart enough to do it on their own. Like I said last year before we kept Boyer, I'm like, I don't give a damn if we have a DC at all. That's why I was like okay with Boyer, because I thought our guys were like, yeah, they could run themselves, man, to be honest with you, bro. And Fangio knows that. Fangio is like, bro, it's all about you guys. Here's the proper way to do it. Here's the scheme, and this is go. Do your thing. You know? That's what makes him a good coach. But Lit says, this is definitely just week one spice now. Yeah, except we don't call it spice on coffee and a cup of color. We call it extra creamer. It's flavored creamer. And today's flavored creamer is Snickers. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty confident that we get a win this week, man. Even besides, being a homer.
I think the Dolphins, I think it's going to be very, very important. And same, all of these same takes, I'm going to roll to week 2. We go against the Broncos, correct?
Week 2, we come back to New England, and then we
That's
get
right,
the Broncos to open our home opener.
To me,
yeah, we don't get a home opener. We don't get our home opener till week 3.
To me, the first 3 weeks of this of us playing, I think the same game plan is true. Sound defense, good running game, and then once you find yourself a score and a half to 2 scores out in front, then you put the work on them. Because these teams, that's just how you're going to get done against these teams coming up, especially early in the season. Man, I'm just so happy that
you have to answer touchdowns with touchdowns, man. You can't answer with field goals.
No, we can't. Now, look, situationally, it's late in the second half, and we get the ball late in the second quarter, and we get the ball at the half, and you're out there. Take that three, reconvene, come back out with the possession.
Try
to get it in.
Oh, sure. But when
you're
your defense gets you a turnover and you start from their 30-yard line, you have to score a touchdown on that.
Sorry, I'm
Nothing aggravates me more than getting a turnover and only getting a field goal out of it. I'd rather just turn the ball back over to them.
Yeah, but easy. I'll take easy points too.
Yeah, true. I know I'm being stupid, but it's the principle. It's like, I hate finding myself going, oh, well, we got that turnover and we held them. We went 3 and out, but I guess we got field position back. It's like big deal. You need to cash in points for turnovers, especially when your defense thrives on them.
This guy put wrong name in here.
I mean, what's the one thing we were missing as to why our defense regresses? Because our defense is built to thrive on turnovers. We're a fast twitch, fast defense that's meant to wear out its opponent in the heat of Miami, and turnovers are the key to that. And we're built to get them. We just didn't get them at the pace we were, so our defense suffered for that. We're healthy. We got strong guys. Punch the damn ball out. But when we get those turnovers, our offense just has to reward. I mean, what else can I don't know how much I can harp on it and parrot it forever and ever and ever. But until it happens and people understand, like when it actually happens, when we get a turnover and then our offense cashes in on it and you watch the snowball effect that happens in that game and we end up destroying a freaking team, then it'll be realized, wow, it started with that turnover and our offense cashing in there.
Yeah, it's you can't. You got to reward the defense for rewarding the offense, man. It is complementary football at its finest, and I but I really feel that our turnover margin is going to take an uptick in this, the Fangio 4, as it's been definitively called. When we have that 2 high shell, but actually it's a 4 high shell. Uh, um, and that's where this defense operates at its best. When these guys can play deep in coverage, essentially showing 4 out in the backside, just letting the offense take what you're giving them, but that's because you're playing at a lead, and this offense can provide that to this defense. I believe it's why Fangio chose Miami over all of the other suitors that were courting him this offseason.
I could see that too. And it's just football 101 when it comes down to it. I mean,
And
you
I am
cash in on
having
turnover.
major deja vu right now.
I know it
Major
is.
deja vu.
Deja vu from when? The last 17 games we analyzed, bro?
No, it's from what I'm standing and doing at work and stuff
Oh.
right now. It's tripping me out.
So we got 49 people watching right now, 52 likes. So we're above that. But we've had 52 likes. So I know some of you haven't hit the like button. Hit it right now. Don't forget. Whatever do you mean, Jamaican from Zion? I have no idea what you're referring to. But Sweet Jumps, I keep missing Sweet Jumps and saying hi to him. It's been a while, Sweet Jumps. Good to see you back around the tailgate, man.
It is nice to see Sweet Jumps back around.
Vicken's up in here this morning.
It's something that's always exciting. Once we get into week 1 in football, all the people who were there for us all season last year coming back around, I appreciate them. Their subscriptions to the channel held true. And now that they're back ready for football, we are here as we promised.
Oh, yeah.
And as you guys may have seen,
in the building too.
As you guys may have seen, we've got more programming, more shows, more fun, more information, and we are a network that continues to grow. And if you guys want to be there for our new home base, make sure you're checking out tftgnetwork.com, because as we grow in the years to come, and all of us, as we currently sit at the TFTG roster, we are all here for the long haul. We are inching our way to absolute legitimacy, and we have big plans for the future. Whether we get there next year, whether we get there 5 years from now, we're here for the long haul. And I appreciate everybody who really, we have over 5,000 subscribers, going to have over 6 here before we know it. But everyone that's in chat, you guys are the day ones, and you're gonna hopefully be looking back 5, 6, 7 years from now, when this is a bigger network, and go, yeah, man, I was here helping. You guys are the building blocks to the community, and we really appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, tonight you can catch Shake, I believe, on the Smoke Lounge for Wednesday night at 6 p.m. And I was just noticing, Cap, in StreamYard, that it only shows going on Facebook. I don't know if the clicks didn't happen or there was something malfunction. Do you want me to go ahead and add those?
Go ahead and add those. I don't know. I think Shake doesn't hit them all sometimes, so I have to keep going back.
It may, if he did it on his phone, sometimes the phone doesn't register the tap, that kind of thing.
Yep. I will say this, as Culler alluded to earlier, Shake Money and Lou had Richmond Webb come by, which was just an awesome show.
I wish I could have tell nobody. That was a secret.
I wish I could have spent more time up there, but I was,
I
busy
mean,
with my
I
son
guess
at football.
if anybody's gonna spoil it, it better be the proprietor of the network.
Yeah, I ain't spoiling nothing because if you're
Only
a member
members
of
were
this
supposed
channel,
to know who was on it last night until it
if
gets
you're a
released
member,
in
if you're a
public.
member of this channel, you have access to it and will have access to it. But come here around 1 or 2 o'clock today. We're gonna go ahead and release that so you guys
Yeah, and
can
now
check
they
it out.
know. And now they know. You spoiled it, bro. I wasn't telling the
Nah,
main audience who it was, man.
well now they know. And it was a great show. He had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, and we really appreciate him. And shout out to him and the work he does over there with
Yeah,
Inside the
what an
NFL
honor
with
to speak
Reason.
with it, man.
You know, Reason's got a gem on his channel, and you know, it was real courteous of everybody to play nice and do right, and that's what this community is about and what we're growing into, and it was real nice
Absolutely.
the whole thing. The whole
Absolutely.
thing.
And you
So
know, again, what an honor to speak with the guy. I mean, you know, look, I'm trying to be like, you know, you're not supposed to like, you know, when you get doing this kind of thing, you're not supposed to let like you know, the fact that you're starstruck or whatever like show, you know what I mean, and all that. You're supposed to be reserved and all that. I get it, but man, I remember the night the guy got drafted. I was like, I was a kid, man. That's like, you know what I mean? This is the guy that protected Dan Marino, bro. To be able to ask him a question and be like, you know, and matter of fact, make sure you're hitting the notification bell to find out when that does drop for everybody. Members who have watched already know what I asked, but I mean, you know, to be able to say, hey, this and that, it's talking about Richmond Webb, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I could never imagine when I was that young actually being able to talk to these people that I saw through the TV every week, you know, and all that, you know, like
yeah, and what a
class
class act
act,
of a
man.
guy, just an absolute gem of a human. Very inviting, easy to speak to. For any of you guys that are on social media platforms, he's a dude that always follows people back. He connects to the little people, and it's just it's you know a guy again. You know, there's an old saying that don't meet your heroes. Richmond Webb is dispelling that narrative all on his own. He is a guy that doesn't let you down with his absolute just
Yeah, he's
humbleness.
like
And
the
he told,
first one that ever followed me on Twitter, like anybody with a
bro,
blue.
me too. I'm telling you, same here. When I started, I followed a bunch of people. He follows you right back. He's just a sweet human being. And you know, he told some really great Shula stories out there and on the show. So you guys will be able to catch that later today. And
Yeah, for another little preview, I asked him about the isotoner gloves. I couldn't help it.
you know, he's a guy who has kept it real in this community. And you know, as these Dolphins community continues to grow, we need, and now that, you know, thank the Lord, Zach Thomas. And if you guys want to know how strong this Dolphins community is, look no further than the push for Zach. Now begins the real hard push for
Oh yeah.
getting a Richmond in there. I get it. We've kind of been penalized because there's so many Hall of Famers on those 70s and 80s team that were put in there. But that should not be held against one of the greatest tackles of all time, a guy who locked up people, Pro Bowler at his rookie year, a perennial Pro Bowler in his career,
Mhm.
a guy that just has the respect of anyone and everyone he's ever faced off against, a man that, you know, hopefully we can unite as one to get this done, just like we did with Zach, just like we did with Jason, just like we did with all these guys. We need to do what we can in a community to make that happen.
Yeah, the man belongs in the Hall of Fame. That's just all there is to it.
If there was, when you think of Hall of Fame, it's just like Zach Thomas in the aspect. You got to not only look at the body of work, but the contemporaries that had to deal with them on the field. They have their respect and more. They
Yeah,
have their
and we
respect and
spoke
more.
about it last night. I mean, you're talking about, and you know, I got a chance to tell the man this, but I always saw Richmond Webb versus Bruce Smith as like the Jordan and Bird matchup of linemen. That's how I always saw that. You're talking about a guy that had to protect Dan Marino from the likes of Bruce Smith. And he wasn't the only one in the league at the time. Reggie White. I mean, you're talking about guys he's faced. Yeah, to get him in the Hall of Fame, man. There's no doubt. Absolutely no doubt should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I again,
made an instant difference on our team when he got drafted and came in. Made an instant difference. Him and Sims. You know, it was night and day. It was like, who's going to protect Marino at that time? It was big news, you know, when they got drafted. It was like,
yep.
You know, and he came right in and fulfilled right away.
And remained there.
Yeah.
Forever. Him and oh my God, what's the center I'm trying to think of, Culler? What's the center that was there forever after?
Dwight Stevenson was our
Thank you, Dwight Stevenson.
Marino's center.
Him and Dwight Stevenson and him. Well, Dwight Stevenson seemed like he played for 100 years, but so did Richmond. Both of them guys.
And Dwight is in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly, Culler. Exactly. Dwight doing what he did, Richmond doing what he did. These men are 1A and 1B of importance to the Miami Dolphins, whose offense changed the NFL. And these men need to be recognized. And it's a shame that he hasn't been, you know, that when we look at the Dolphins all out there in the gold jackets, there's one man that's not wearing one, and enough is enough already. Enough is enough. All right, Culler. I gotta run.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate you coming by. The
50
thing
in the room, Culler. I
think
think
is that when I was, you know, when I got older in life and just forgot a lot of things and didn't follow a lot of stats and all that, I just assumed he was already in the Hall of Fame. I had no idea he even wasn't until a couple years ago. I'm like, are you kidding me? How is Richmond Webb not in the Hall of Fame?
I felt the same way, Culler. I did. You know, when I really started getting into creating content, I'm like, are you kidding me? This man still isn't in there. Like, it's like, I feel like it's a Mandela effect, because I could have sworn he was in there. And you know, and here's the thing we can't allow happen as Dolphin fans, because as every year passes, you know, shoo-ins, guys that everyone knows are going to get in first ballot. And then there's the guys that get in the third ballot. And then there are the guys that get in the fifth and sixth ballot. But it was the same thing with what we let happen with Richmond. The Dolphins fans didn't let happen with Zach, where as the years go on, they just don't, they just get swept under the rug. We have to remedy and right that wrong and make sure the NFL remembers how great of a force this man was. And you know what? I might get with HB in the back, and maybe we can make a highlight type of reel, and maybe we'll put together some form of script, and maybe you can narrate it. You know what I'm saying? We can really push that in there. I think this is something that is absolutely needed right now in the NFL.
Pancake a few all-pro defensive ends.
Yeah,
that'd be
fun. Just find a highlight reel of nothing but freaking Hall of Famers that he's upended. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. So I'm glad you came by. I'm gonna actually wrap it up here at we're about 2.5 hours. A couple shout outs to a couple late comers to the chat. Marino's Goat, Flipside Fishing. How you doing?
I don't know, Culler. I think
good morning to
if you can, Culler, I think you should hang for another little bit, because I'm gonna be listening, dude. I think the audience has spoken.
I could. I'm just kind of running out of things to talk about. Oh, I got to get through to my DFS stuff. Yeah, I could. Yeah, I could go a little bit longer.
I think the audience has spoken, Culler. They want this coffee and a cup of Culler to continue.
Well, they're gonna have to let me brew another cup then if I do. But yeah, I still got to get to the little bit of fantasy talk I wanted to talk about. Do a little lineup with the audience, and one of the free lineups, and yeah, but we got a couple more of you coming in. Good morning, Pete. Dolphins for life. V21. Of course,
everybody's hitting the like button.
I
hope everybody's hitting the like button on this thing.
58 likes right now. 43
Absolutely. Thank
watching.
you.
Appreciate y'all. Yep.
Can always count on these great Dolphin fans to put their money where their mouth is, for lack of a better term. So
let me see here. Let's
all right, Culler, I'll see you later.
All righty, Cap. Have a good day.
Yep.
Let me log into this freaking thing. Oh, I gotta get the code and all that. God, really? 699 verify. All right, we're in. So I did one. I did. Of course, I'm gonna have to plug the sponsors of the free tournament on DraftKings. If you haven't messed with DraftKings at all for DFS, obviously, if you know, you know, but they always have these, get over there and create a free account because they, even if you don't put money in, they always got these free tournaments you can just mess around with, cut your teeth on learning how to build fantasy lineups without spending anything, but still with the potential to win something. For instance, let me share my screen real quick and I can show you. Let's see here. That pull that lever, turn that knob, push that button right there. Gonna flip this switch, and it looks like there we go. Wait, one more. I gotta just like swivel this little knob here. Okay, there we go. And then I gotta zoom in a little bit so you can see. All right, there we go. So everybody can see, right? Okay. Now let's look at the details of this tournament. As you can see, first place gets $1,000. I mean, this is a completely free tournament. Now, obviously, it's going to be pretty tough to win because, look, as you can see, there are unlimited number of entries. And as it stands now, with 99 hours left until game time, excuse me, I got the hiccup, sorry. There are already 63,326 entrants. So you're going to be going against quite a few contestants, and that almost makes it virtually impossible to win. So whether you have a computer build you a bunch of lineups and you spit them all in, or whether you pick one off your head, it's sort of like playing the lottery. Either one's going to be fine, and you're probably not going to win. But you might be able to get into 1,000th place, which gives you $3, which then you can turn around and enter some quarter tournaments or something where the pool of entrants is a little lower, and start from there. That's the great thing about a place like DraftKings with these free tournaments. You can literally start with $0. Yeah, CCRR. This is daily fantasy for this week. I put together a little lineup, just kind of pipe dreaming, with a bunch of Dolphins on it. But I'm also gonna build one real quick with y'all. See what y'all think on one of these other free tournaments. Good morning, Crypto. Good to see you. And good morning, Pseudo Spike and CCRR. Good to see both of you. So as you can see, the prize pool is kind of, nice for a free tournament. It's absolutely free. I got $1.16 in my account. So you can create you just create the account on DraftKings. FanDuel's got a bunch of free ones too, I'm sure, but they're all sponsored by different people, different companies. And in this case, it's Fast Start to NFL Kickoff, powered by Fast Twitch. Where is the thing? Powered by Fast Twitch. I don't really know what Fast Twitch is, but I guess they assume their demographic knows. So there you go. get your Fast Twitch today. And thank you, Fast Twitch, for providing this free tournament for all of us. Okay, so first thing we're going to look at is the weather. Look at the weather. Oh, it's going to be raining in Arizona or in Washington, wherever that game is going to be played. Washington, likely. Houston, Baltimore calling for some rain. Let's see. Philadelphia, New England calling for some rain. Tampa Bay, Minnesota calling for some rain. Las Vegas, Denver will be undercover in a dome. The Rams in Seattle calling for some rain. Lots of rainy games this week coming up. So actually, there might not be a lot of offensive production across the league. I'm not sure about if it works in every state lit, but I'm pretty sure, because even the states where they don't allow gambling, where you can't pick your town or whatever, like even Missouri, I did DraftKings, and I think it's pretty much most states are okay with fantasy. If I were to go over to the sportsbook side on DraftKings, I would not be allowed. It will log me out and tell me that I'm not allowed to bet on anything in my area, which is Florida. So the betting side, no, you can't do that yet. You have to find certain other ways to go about doing that, which I won't really get into here. But as far as the fantasy, I think most states have made provisions and exceptions for fantasy. Don't quote me on that. Check in your own state overall. To the whole audience, just check in your own state. Make sure you can what your laws are regarding it, and all that, and there you go. So here we go. For this lineup, I wanted to it's a free tournament. I don't have to, I'm not losing anything by playing this lineup. And to be honest with you, with 63,000 contestants, it has just as much a chance to win as any other lineup. So, well, within reason. So I wanted to go ahead and make Tua my quarterback and do a Tua stack with a couple Dolphins, and then fill in the gaps. And so first I took Tua. And as you can see, you can see who my players are, but I'm going to tell you my thought process and the order in which I picked them, and why. So I got Tua. And of course, you're going to want to pair Tua with at least one of his wide receivers. And sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it can be beneficial to play both. I mean, that can happen. But there's another receiver that could likely get the same production as Waddle or Hill if they're not the one that gets the most on our team. So I decided, given the Chargers defense and given the number of points we should expect, I decided to only go with one of Tua's receivers instead of making it a double stack. So I went with Hill, because I know that no matter what happens with the game plan and with anything, with as far as if I have to flip a coin and decide which of the two is going to get the opportunities more to put up all those fantasy points, and who edges the other out usually in number of fantasy points, I'm going to go with Tyreek. So I'm keeping Tyreek. He is my second most expensive player on my team, and he usually averages 21.4 fantasy points per game. So that's a good one right there. He's probably chalky though, because it is expected to be a high scoring game. The over under is 50 to 51. And as such, there's probably going to be a lot of people with Tyreek Hill on their roster. But at 8,200, you almost have to play him. Oh yeah, I can probably guess, Pete. If you're doing a Tua lineup, but you got other different two. Yeah, I can kind of guess. But let me finish my thought process, and maybe one of them might be the guy you're thinking of. You too, Flip Side. Thanks for coming by and listening. So I went ahead and went with Tyreek Hill, paired him up with Tua, because regardless of what you think about Tua and all that other stuff, he tends to get numbers. I mean, he tends to get production with his wide receiver, and at 19.4 average, he could have a really big day or he could have a really crappy day. That's why he's at where he's at. But if you're talking about a game that's expected to score a lot of points, and you're talking about a free lineup where I'm force feeding myself to it, then that's a good, you got a good pair, Tua and Tyreek. That's going to get you probably, if you're talking about a decent game with decent execution, that's probably going to get you a lot of fantasy points, that pair. So, plus, being that Tua is probably, let's look, I mean, he's probably a little less expensive of quarterback than the rest of them. Actually, he's only 200 less than Herbert. And Herbert's at 18.1 average. So take your choice. Now, they're expecting Herbert's, our defense to be easier for Herbert than theirs is for Tua. But a 13th, I mean, that could ease it. That doesn't matter in this case. 30th, 13th. There's a reason we're 30th, and it has to do with last year. So, and we all know as Dolphin fans what we've done to rectify that. So, that being said, you're virtually looking at the same play if you do a Herbert stack, except Herbert doesn't have Tyreek Hill. Sure, those other wide receivers can get some numbers, but I mean, they'd have to make it up for more touchdowns because Tyreek's going to get a lot of yardage. Then at my other two wide receiver slots, I wanted to try to save some money. And I kind of decided to think a little bit outside the box. To a couple guys that I don't think a lot of people have been talking about. That's how you differentiate on a fantasy lineup. One of the ways you can. And a couple people I think that people are sleeping on. Because it's so early in the season, there's going to be a lot of guys that people forgot about that end up doing some pretty good things in week one. And one of those guys, I think, is Michael Thomas. I think the Saints have been working on themselves quietly. They don't have a world beater at quarterback, but they got a sufficient quarterback with a lot of heart. And he's going to want to make that connection with Michael Thomas as quickly as possible to get out the gate in the season. I could see Michael Thomas coming out of nowhere and having a pretty big game for the Saints. They're playing Tennessee in New Orleans. So there's a player at 5,100 that you could say, hey, he's traditionally known when he's on his game, but back when he had all the gas, maybe he's out of gas, maybe he's not. Maybe he needed to meander around for a better situation, and maybe he feels comfortable now to turn it up to Michael Thomas levels. Good morning, Chef Jew. How you doing? Dolphinaire, you as well. And if this guy turns it up to even close to former Michael Thomas levels, you could be looking at a 20-plus fantasy point game for him at 5,100 in salary. There's another guy that everybody just wrote off because he didn't necessarily come out of the gate in the few games he played last year, and things weren't together yet, and maybe people aren't really impressed with his camp this year in preseason, is Deshaun Watson. And one of the ways you can kind of get a piece of Deshaun Watson is playing one of his wide receivers. A wide receiver, another one that I think people, kind of put off to the back burner, hasn't been in a, maybe we don't know what's going on with Amari Cooper. He obviously hasn't given up. And again, last year, I don't believe that anybody in Cleveland was expecting great things last year. So if you're talking about an Amari Cooper that could get back to form with a guy like Deshaun Watson slinging the ball around to him, let's say if a division game like Cleveland and Cincinnati gets out of hand, they got to keep up with Joe Burrow. I could easily see Amari Cooper at 5,800 being a very, very good value pick, where you're getting a lot more production than you normally would from a guy that costs 5,800. Now, those two moves right there alone, plus obviously Tua, allow me to then run my stack back with my Dolphins stack back with the running back from our opponent, who is known for putting up a lot of fantasy points, catching the ball, and is no slouch, and that's Austin Eckler. So I'm running back my lineup with Austin Eckler, given that they're going to want to try to control the ball, the time of possession, and the line of scrimmage in the field position, as Capitan alluded to. And they're going to try to do that through Austin Eckler. If they go back to a conventional system where it's not Kellen Moore implementing his new stuff, but he just goes with what works, then you could see Eckler getting a lot of production like normal. As you can see, his average is 22.2, which is why he's my most expensive player, and probably chalk this week on most people's lineups at 8,400. But if I'm right about Amari Cooper and Michael Thomas, that could improve my particular strategy of using Eckler as a run back for Tyreek Hill and Tua. I don't normally, if I'm picking a one-off player from another team like Amari Cooper, especially a receiver, I generally don't pick that team's tight end on the same lineup. But if you want a good punt at tight end for very decent value, only 200 above the minimum, is David Njoku with the Browns. Again, Deshaun Watson is not, I still believe in Deshaun Watson's ability to play at a high level in this league, an elite level. I don't take anything we've seen from camp or anything we garnered from last season where he comes in late in the season. I don't see none of that. I still see his abilities. And if things are getting right in Cleveland and we just don't know it because we don't pay attention and we just, take for granted what, two and ear eyes tell us about what they saw him doing in camp. No, I don't take, no. That could easily be a good play at tight end, Njoku at 4,200. All he needs is a touchdown or two as an outlet receiver for Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun can definitely get the ball to him. So I went ahead and threw caution to the wind and threw another Brown that has the ability to catch the ball on with Amari Cooper. Now, I could be just messing with myself and canceling out a spot, but whatever, because the production from both of them could equal to one other guy maybe. But again, it's free lineup. It allows me to get the other guys I got, Eckler, Hill on the same lineup, Michael Thomas. And of course, going on the Kellen Moore game script, the new OC game script that we illustrated earlier, or that we alluded to earlier, Capitan and I in our discussion, I went ahead and picked our defense too. If our defense gets a couple turnovers or a score off a turnover and their offense struggles, it could really snowball. And you could look at one of those weeks where out of nowhere, the Dolphins put up huge fantasy numbers on defense and surprises everybody, especially at 2,500, being priced at a spot where they're not expected to do that. So I went ahead, whatever. Again, free lineup. This is my homer lineup, if you want to call it that. And yes, I put the Dolphins defense on. Now, I always like this. Maybe I'm just seeing it with being Pollyannish, but you got a guy that's 5,100 in salary, the same as Michael Thomas, a running back. Okay. He's at 5,100, yet has zero fantasy production. That's because he's a rookie. That's because he's new. And he's a wide receiver, I'm sorry. But why is he priced up to 5,100? So, Pete, I'm going to ask you, why is this guy Jordan Addison from the Vikings priced at 5,100 if he's a rookie when most rookies don't actually see the field unless they're like day one starters? So look at this guy. He's priced up at 5,100. I could see this being a guy that just comes out of nowhere. Looks like he's making touchdown catches in traffic in camp with the number one offense. Yeah, so I put him in my flex position. He may get nothing. He may not even take one snap. But if he does, I have a feeling there's a reason he's priced up right there. That he's not bottom of the bottom price. Because look, that leads me to my sleeper of the week. And I'm going with it. I don't care if he gets one snap or not. I'm standing on my square. He's just as much a sleeper as anybody else. Chris Brooks, Miami Dolphins running back Chris Brooks. At 4,000, bottom salary price. Because I could really see a scenario where we drive the ball down the field. We're sitting at 2nd and goal from the 6 or 7 yard line. And this guy, Chris Brooks, knifes it right up the middle for a touchdown. Now, Pete, at 4,000 in salary, what would that do to a fantasy tournament if a guy like that got even one touchdown? And again, I wouldn't touch any rookies either in this way if you're talking about big or real money. I mean, this again is a free lineup. And I'm just talking about all of the cliches you hear about fantasy and how to build a lineup. I'm putting them all in on one lineup, Pete. You know what I mean? So I'm giving a flavor to people who don't really pay attention to daily fantasy as to how a person goes about, kind of the thought processes of putting together a lineup if you're not just doing it with a computer. Exactly, Pete. What if he gets 2? What if we find ourselves in a short yardage situation twice in the game and he does it twice? And I'm even thinking of examples like you could point to the example of Dearness Johnson against us in the preseason game. And then you could also point to was it? I said it earlier, Jamal Anderson, I think it was, the guy that, ran it right up the gut on us against Detroit last year for a touchdown. Same situation. And and this is precisely what I think we brought a guy like Chris Brooks in here for. We got to find out if he can do it. And I think out of nowhere, people are going to be like, who's that guy? Because he smashes it right up the middle for a touchdown. Much like Capitan's telling you all to smash the like button. He'd smash it in the same way. Now, to Pete's point, hold on, I'm checking a text message real quick. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I have to answer it real quick. I'll just give it that. But to Pete's point, like generally these guys, I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm pipe dreaming because we see it all the time on different teams where a guy like that in week 1 gets that touchdown nobody expected or that too. But it is much more likely that Chris Brooks doesn't even touch the football this week. Let's be real. Same with this Jordan Addison guy. Much more likely neither one of them touches the ball. But if they do, it's usually going to be a situation that they're scoring, that they're brought in a specifically designed situation to score. So look out for that. There's 2 other guys on our team that fit that description. I alluded to them earlier, and that is Devon A-Chain and Eric Izukanma. Both of those guys have the same potential as Chris Brooks to be somebody that touches the ball once or twice but scores both times. And that's a very, very real possibility. Again, much more likely that neither one of them touches the ball. It's just what they do when they touch the ball. So as relates to fantasy, that could mean differentiating yourself on a lineup, like Pete said, especially at 0.1% owned. That means that only 0.1% of the rosters out there in the 63,000 lineups, only 0.1% of them have that guy on their lineup. That's what you want to see. What you want to see is the most points you can get, big time points, but those percentages of roster need to be as low as they can. You won't know that until the tournament starts, until the games start. They don't put what the percentage is until, they have projections, sites do projections, but the actual numbers don't come in until after. And when you're looking at your score returns on this site, it'll show you the percentage owned of those players on your roster, and you'll see, wow, if I get 20 points out of a guy that's 2% owned, you're doing well. The more of those you have on your lineup, the better you're doing, the better chance you have of winning. Because let's face it, a lot of these lineups are generated by computers, and there's a lot of duplicates. And there's a lot of different ones that are like, yeah, that guy's good. That's a good lineup, but everybody has it. So what you really want is those guys that are like the most points you can get for the least amount of percentage owned by that player. Now you're going to have to put players on there that are high percentage owned. Those are called chalk. You have to do it sometimes. It just is what it is. But you can make up for that, like in ways where I attempted to, either going with a guy like Chris Brooks and hoping you get lucky, or going with a couple guys like Michael Thomas or Amari Cooper that other people may have just forgotten about, and with good reason. There's good reasons these guys were forgotten about, but we don't know where they're at in their heads. We don't know where they're at with their team. I look at a situation like Cleveland as a team that's trying to get better, that's trying to progress, that is now should be starting to take themselves seriously this year, a la Deshaun Watson showing us Deshaun Watson. And if that happens, a guy like Amari Cooper could eat. He could have a really good game. Njoku could get a couple scores in the red zone as a tight end. The Saints got Derek Carr. You know, you got Thomas coming. Is that, did I read that right? Is Thomas? It just dawned on me. Let me make sure that's the same one. Yeah, Michael Thomas is back with the Saints. Back home where he had all his great stuff. Wait, he has been with them. I'm thinking of Julio Jones. He's been injured. Michael Thomas has. I mean, his numbers have been diminished. But now he's got a guy like Carr with a bunch of heart that's going to want to get the ball, going to want to utilize him for his own purposes. And he's only 5,100. That's how you make up the differences. So let's update that one. Or should say lock it back in. Not really locked in. You don't have to lock it in until the game starts, but that's the fast twitch free NFL tournament on DraftKings. Let's see what other one we got, and I'll let you guys help me build one. And we'll let it don't have to be Dolphin centric. Y'all can just help me build a lineup that you think might be able to take one of these free tournaments with all the different entries. So we got the Guinness Time Challenge. Okay, that's one for Sunday at 1. Yeah, we'll do the Guinness one. Top prize is $500. And if we win it, guys, if y'all help me build this lineup and we win this lineup, I will turn that all right around on the channel, and I'll get something for a drawing for you guys or something. We'll use it to buy a prize for you, for a drawing or a sweepstakes or something. Let's see here. Or we'll turn it back in for some Millie Maker lineups, whatever you guys decide. We'll make a vote. But this is the one, the Guinness. This is the one y'all are helping me do. We'll go from scratch. Same slate. Sunday games from 1 p.m. only, so that does not include this Thursday night. It does not include Sunday night football, and it does not include Monday night football. So that's where we're going to start. While I get prepared, I've got to get some liquid to moisten my throat. So I shall return in just a second. I wasn't going to make y'all sit there and wait for me. You're coming with me to get something to drink, but we'll return to the fantasy page in just a second here. Once again, everybody, like and share. Appreciate you all. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bells, especially so you do not miss the release of our TFT visit by the great one, Richmond Webb, to the tailgate. We all got a chance to chop it up with him and ask him a couple questions. It was really fun and such an honor to have been able to participate in that. Thank you, Shake Money, for putting it all together. It's what you get from people like Shake from Zamunda, you know? Ah, that tastes good. That tastes good, guys. So while you're waiting for me to get back to my desktop, let's start chopping it up about who we want to make as our core 4. Now, these are the players that we're going to bring to the table on Kahari's show. You know, when I go there and chop it up with Kahari, and I give him my core 4 and try to sound all smart and intelligent, what they're not going to know is, well, you will because it'll be the same audience just about, but what they're not going to know is that you all helped me pick this 4 core. That I'm really not that intelligent. But so let's start with a couple guys that whether they're chalk or not, you think, and we all agree, are these guys are definitely going to get you 20 to 30 fantasy points plus, maybe even have a breakout, maybe even be a 40 plus guy. You know, your core 4, your main players. You want a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, and then we can pick the third core. You could either make it another wide receiver, or you can make it the defense or a tight end. Usually I don't necessarily make a tight end part of my core 4 unless it's like a Lamar Jackson to stack or something. But let's start, I guess, with let's start with a quarterback. What do you guys think on quarterback? Who should we build? You know what? Maybe we should wait on core. We'll throw some names out there. Who do you all think should be part of the core 4? Pick a quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Throw some of those names out there. We'll figure out which position to start with. And while you're doing that, hit the like button. Obviously, we don't say it enough around here. And don't forget, if you'd like to support the channel, hit us up with some super chats, super stickers, the FinMily tailgate, $, the FinMily tailgate on Cash App. But put some dang players in here. I knew Lit was going to put in Herbert. You want to do the Tua counter stack? We could do that. You know, if you want to be fair to the resident Chargers fan in here, guys, we can certainly do that. Pete says Herbert or Burrow. Dolphin State of Mind says Jefferson. I'm assuming that's Justin Jefferson as a wide receiver. He's going to be probably pretty chalky. Burrow might be a little chalky. Herbert might even be chalky if they're underestimating our defense. Or Hurts. Yeah, Hurts. Lamar Jackson. Now Clemente might be thinking here because Lamar Jackson always gives you that potential for double the fantasy points because of his running ability. I mean, he could have a 300-yard passing day with 2 touchdowns and have a 70-yard touchdown run to go with it. That could smash a slate right away. Kenneth Walker, Josh Allen, and A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown might not be another bad might not be a bad guy like you know, in the same reference as Amari Cooper or Michael Thomas. Got another one for Lamar Jackson. Maybe we'll so far it looks like Lamar Jackson is hitting the quarterback spot here. Justin Jefferson. I could think of a Lamar Jackson, Justin Jefferson. Now he does have himself some receivers now too. Do we want to trust them, or is he still just going to throw the rock to Mark Andrews all day and use them guys as a decoy? You know, I mean, he tends to do that too, in which case I would just put him with his tight end and then get some other receivers. So that's a good one. That's a good one. That might be a tricky one to build a lineup around, though. And Mahomes is off the table because he's playing Thursday night, so that makes things a little easier. I could see Josh Allen having the same dual potential for points, although he may be thinking of toning that running down a little bit because it continues to piss off Stephon Diggs. So I don't know. I wouldn't trust Josh Allen this week. Zay Flowers. Yeah. Especially if it gets to a situation where Odell is trying to get him to force the ball to him. You know what I mean? He may get frustrated with that, and the connection might not be made between him and Odell. So yeah, I could see him going to Zay Flowers. But is it really going to be a lot of points? I mean, who are they playing? I forget. Let's look. I don't have. I'm on the Porto studio right at the moment. You guys can probably see better than I can. They're playing Houston. Oh. They're playing Houston, and it's supposed to be a little rainy. Oh my God! Yeah, we're definitely playing Lamar Jackson. We're definitely playing Lamar Jackson. Although the ball, he could get sloppy and turn the ball over too. He's been known to do that, even without it being wet. Man, that's a good one. Maybe we should stay away from that. Every time I think, though, stay away from a guy like Lamar for those types of reasons, he ends up balling out, man, and having ends up smashing the whole day. We got a vote for a Brock Purdy Debo Samuel stack. Wow, can he hold on to the ball? I'd love to play Lamar Jackson, but I'm really concerned about him fumbling if it's rainy. But man, what a crappy defense Houston has, man. For against the run. Almost makes me want to stay away from it being rain. What do you guys think? So I guess we'll put it up for vote. We got a couple because we've got a point of contention. Should we even bother with Lamar Jackson being because of the weather? Put a yes or no in chat. We'll do it the easy way first. If I don't want to make a poll for everything, but I don't want to be the one to make the decision. This is y'all's lineup. Do we go with Lamar Jackson or do we keep looking? Or do we keep discussing quarterback? I think we're probably going to go with just a guy like Justin Jefferson at wide receiver. Maybe he'll be our chalk. We'll put him on and build around him. So he's our first player in the core four, Justin Jefferson at wide receiver. We'll go with that. We didn't get a lot of wide receiver talk other than Zay Flowers with Jackson, but so we got one yes, one no. Yeah, running. That's what I was thinking too, Bowleg, especially because it's going to be rainy. But what if I guess even if he fumbles, he could still mitigate that with, I mean, that's only one. I mean, what do they give you for a fumble? Like -2 or -3 or something? I mean, it's not that much to overcome if he does fumble it. But I would hate to be that one fumble be the difference between him and a guy like Hurts. Well, let me get back to my desktop and we'll check out the prices of these guys and see what we're looking out there. I like the idea of Hurts for the same reason. I think Josh is going to try to stay away from running so much, given the Diggs drama. Which could indicate a good day for a guy like Gabe Davis. Davis might not be a bad play. All right, back at the desktop. Sorry if there was any feedback. Okay, so here we go. Lamar Jackson at 8,000. Wow, you can get a $200 discount if you go with Hurts. How's that factor in your calculus? So we got a Y for Jackson. We got 2 Ys and 1 N, which the no comes from delusional Patriots fan, which makes me think that he wants us to lose, and as such is really a yes for Lamar Jackson. Just kidding, delusional. Because you could win the Dolphins prize too, you know. All right, so wow, they got Lamar Jackson. They're expecting a lot too. He could just be chalk. But look at the points per game for Hurts. And look at the opponent's rank on defense. New England's defense against a guy like Hurts, or Houston's defense against a guy like Jackson. Do we spend the extra 200? Yeah, let's do it. Hold on. Let me go ahead and get Justin Jefferson on here. He's 8,800. Oh my God. We're going to spend all our money on wide receiver and quarterback, people. It's all right. Chat has spoken. All right. So now we got Lamar Jackson and Justin Jefferson. How are we going to afford Mark Andrews, man? Look, he's the number one, 6,200. We only got an average of 4,700 left. Do we pair him with a different tight end? What do you think about these other tight ends? I hate picking tight end. To be honest with you, I would just pick Julian Hill and be done with it. And punt, because we're going to have to punt somewhere. But the trouble is, if we punt on tight end, we could be missing out on the points that Lamar Jackson gets if he targets Mark Andrews a lot. But he is, let's see, he is questionable for the game. And it is going to be rainy there. So I guess we could move off Andrews anyway. But we're going to have to punt somewhere. Do you guys want to punt with Njoku again at tight end? You got Freiermuth sitting at 4,100, but they're playing the 49ers. We got Noah Gray. We got Darren Waller. What's Waller going for? $4,000 apparently. I don't even see him on the list. Where'd he go? Did I just miss him? Where are you at, Waller? Here, let me sort for the Raiders. Or not the Raiders. Where's he at? The Saints now, right? No, Waller's not even on there. Where's Waller at? I thought he was with the Saints. Oh, the Giants. When did that? What did I miss? I thought he was with the Saints. Let's see. Giants. The Giants are not on this slate. They must be playing Sunday night or Monday night. Okay, so Darren Waller's out. Who is the Kansas City tight end? See, it won't matter anyway, delusional, because they're Thursday night, so they're not on this slate. But that's a good question for fantasy overall. If you are playing the Thursday night slate, yeah, you want to check out Kansas City's tight end because he'll be low owned and he'll be cheap. And Mahomes is going to have to throw to some tight end. He may make a new guy a star or a flash. I mean, we could go with Herbert's tight end. I'm not even, you know what? I'm not even going to think of tight end right now. Let's see what we got to do first. We got quarterback. We picked Lamar Jackson, wide receiver, Justin Jefferson. Now we need a running back. Who's our running back? I think Travis Etienne might be a sneaky good play. They're playing the Colts. Yeah, Eckler. Depends on how Kellen Moore uses him, Jermaine. If he don't want to throw the ball to him like normal, if he tries to do his own thing, you know, we could see low performance out of Eckler, low production. Bijan with Atlanta, he hasn't put up anything yet. They're playing Carolina. Bijan might be a neat play. You mean Bijan delusional? Bijan has no usage. Oh, Commanders running back versus the Cardinals. Let's see here. Where the heck is he? Are they starting a rookie? Delusional? Is that why he's so down on the list here? Where is he? Let me sort for them. Oh, Gibson. Brian Robinson. Let's see. This was back on the 21st. 5 carries for 21 yards and 4 catches for 17 against the Ravens in preseason. 50-50 split. Yeah. If they're doing 50-50, I don't want either one of them, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'll probably do that, Pete. Because I'm probably going to wrap things up once we complete this lineup here. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Let's see here. So back to running back. Eckler does look like a good play. I don't want to put my homer hat on and say we're going to shut him down, but we do need to start thinking about saving some money here. Kenneth Walker. Samuel says Kenneth Walker the third with Seattle. Oh yeah, playing the Rams. That might be a good play there. You also got Javonte Williams against the Raiders from Denver. What do y'all think about Kenneth Walker at 6,000? Seattle is trying to run the ball. That is their MO. And see, that's what I was thinking, V21. And I don't know if Eckler is that type of back, if he's going to succeed and produce there like that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker. If there's no serious objection to the chat in the chat. Yeah, that's what I was worried about, V21. That's what Cap and I were talking about earlier. If he tries to do that, and Eckler doesn't, I mean, that's not really his style. You know, you could see a lack of production there. But I'm really liking this idea of Javonte Williams with Denver against the Raiders. Is he their starting back? It looks like. I mean, how about this guy? Doesn't have a huge average, but he also ain't been playing under Sean Payton. James Conner. I don't know, Pete. O'Connor might be starting to run out of gas finally, dude. I don't know if they could rely on him again, but they don't have anything else to rely on there. Plus, according to DraftKings, Washington gives up the second least fantasy points to running backs. There's always Aaron Jones or Cam Akers, but Aaron Jones might not be a bad one. Or even Chicago's running back. Who does Chicago have? Chicago don't have anybody. Their quarterback. Oh, Deonta Foreman. That might be a sneaky guess. Tyler Algier is not a bad play either. I might do the Tyler Algier thing just to prove I was right about him and we should have drafted him. Let's do that. Plus, it allowed us to save some money. 5,400. What do you think? Tyler Algier gets you the same production as the Denver running back at a lot less money. Now look at this. Chris Godwin is at 5,900 playing the Vikings. You think Godwin could have a game with Baker? He does have competition in Atlanta, but he flashed like at least 3 times last year. At least that I could remember. Let's see who else is in Atlanta real quick. Just to be diligent. Because I don't know if he's the starting. He's not the starting guy, but it looks like he is no, Patterson. He's questionable. I'd take Algiers over Patterson, to be honest with you. And I don't see any. Where's their other? Yeah, that's it. Oh, no, there we go. Bijan, of course. I don't know, Pete. Solid, but they got Bijan too, bro. They're going to want to get him out the gate. But who's going to get the touchdown? Maybe we'll stick with Algiers. I don't know. There might be better options out there at 5,400. Let's see. Our guy, Mostert. DeAndre Swift with Philadelphia. Rashad White. Washington's running back, Gibson. That's not a bad one either. A.J. Dillon. Ezekiel Elliott. What about Zeke, guys? What about Zeke? Let me get rid of Tyler real quick. What about Zeke? I'm not big on Zeke myself. But what about them playing Philadelphia? Bill Belichick in New England, a rainy day. Zeke is a sneaky good play right here, man. Priced at 5,200. What do y'all think? I'm going to roster him until you all tell me not to. I'm putting Zeke there. Well, that's the other thing, delusional. He's going to want to keep it on the ground for the same reason. Because of what Philly can do. I mean, yeah, he's going to want to control the ball. He's going to want... Man, that's a really good play right there, Ezekiel Elliott with the Patriots. I still think even on this lineup, we have to put Michael Thomas in at 5,100. We just have to. He's got Derek Carr playing Tennessee at 5,100. How do you not play Michael Thomas there? And obviously, I'm trying to speed this up a little bit, but I mean, that's still the same thing remains. Michael Thomas, this might be a really good lineup. It's starting to work out to be a pretty decent damn lineup, man. Not going to lie. Let's see if we can't get a wide receiver for Jackson real quick. Finish out this wide receiver room. Do we want to, given the weather forecast there? Probably not. That's right. We're not going to stack up Jackson. Somebody mentioned A.J. Brown earlier, playing New England. Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I can picture a case where Belichick isolates him out. We could go with Waddle at 7,100. We don't have a Miami receiver in here yet. We could go with Hill at 82, but that puts us in a real bind. He's just really expensive, Pete. And if it turns out being low scoring in a Lamar Jackson running fest, well, we could think about Barrios or even Izukama. Let's see how much them guys are priced at. $3,000 for Izukama, and Barrios is also $3,000. Well, let's put Waddle. Let's put Waddle here. And then see if we can't. We got 3,200 left. What do you guys think? Izukama for the, and this is just to get a touchdown. Let's be honest. None of these guys you could expect. We're trying to get an extra touchdown here. Izukama, Craycraft, or Barrios. I could even see Cedric getting an extra touchdown. Or even Brooks, because we're in the flex. That's what I'm going to run the poll on real quick. We'll just call it sleeper. We'll go easy. We'll go Barrios. We'll go Brooks. And we'll go Craycraft. That's as many options as I can add. So there you go. We'll do the quick poll. I'll wait for a few answers, and I'll pick the guy that wins the poll. How's that? There you go. Get in there and vote, everybody. Get in there and vote. Vote, vote, vote. Vote, vote, vote. Vote for Sleeper. Vote for Sleeper. We got Barrios out in front. 4 votes in. 75%. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Hurry up. You don't want 4 people to speak for everybody. We got 5 votes in now. 60% for Barrios. Craycraft got in with a vote. No votes for Easy E yet. It's a close race. Barrios has got the lead. 5 votes in. Get him in, people. It's not going to last long. It's a quick race. It's a quick poll. Barrios gets another one. 6 votes in, up to 67%. I'll wait till at least 10 votes, but we got to get him in. Hurry up, because I ain't got all day. And nobody else does either. That's why everybody's leaving. No, thank you, everybody that's watching, that's finishing out this lineup with us. I appreciate it. Everybody else appreciates it. Hit the like button after you vote for our sleeper in this lineup. It looks like it's going to be Barrios. 6 votes in. If much don't change, man, it's going to be Barrios. If you don't like that, get your vote in. Hit the like button. Share this video out. It helps get more people in the chat to talk to, and we appreciate everybody that has helped the FinMily tailgate and continues to help the FinMily tailgate. This is Coffee and a Cup of Color with your host, Culler. We're drinking McCafe this morning, talking a little fantasy. We talked about some pregame talk for this upcoming game against the Chargers. Capitan showed up, chopped it up with us for a little while. Go back and watch if you missed it. Welcome to all the latecomers to the chat. Oh, look, we even got Moss in there. Good morning, Moss. Because I don't do season-long fantasy at all, Moss. It's just too much of my time and effort and all that I don't know. I like the daily fantasy stuff week to week. You know, I don't like to have to keep up with waiver wires and all that stuff too. Good morning, Manny. How you doing? Looks like Manny voted for Craycraft as well. Yeah, Tim Hortons ain't bad. I still got a couple of those cups left. Oh, Noah Gray for the Chiefs. I think somebody asked earlier. It's Noah Gray. But the Chiefs are not in this slate because they play Thursday night. This is only for Sunday 1 p.m. games. We got 9 votes in. The gap is closing. Barrios only at 44% now. Brooks coming in second at 33, and Craycraft with 22. Still not 1 vote for Easy E. Amazing. Wow. I'll wait for 1 more vote. It's going to be the decider. Uh-oh. It came in. 10 votes in. Hurry up and vote. If you don't get it in before I reach over and click this end poll, it's going to be final. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Poll ended. And it looks like Barrios held on. 50% of you voted for Barrios, 30% voted for Brooks, 20 for Craycraft, and 0 people voted for Eric Izukama. Good morning, Roberto. That's a good point. But the poll has spoken, so in our flex position, we are going to go with Braxton Berrios. Now, keep in mind, guys, this gives us, as it defaulted, because it shifted right over to defense and special teams. As you can see, I had it sorted for the Dolphins, so that's the only one showing. But it brings me to an excellent point that I want to make. If we're going with Berrios, the Dolphins are underpriced because they're not expected much out of them, and that we're facing a high-powered offense. But if all the stuff we illustrated before happens with the Chargers offense, slow out of the gate, whatever you want to say, Fangio makes a difference for us. We get turnovers. There were games last year where we had great fantasy totals in spot performances. If this is one of those games at $2,500 in salary, this could make up for a spot. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see what the math shows. Maybe we'll have enough for a better tight end without having a punt at tight end. Here's another reason to play this Miami Dolphins defense. Because if we do shell out on defense and get those points, remember it says DST, defense special teams, which means if you get a punt return for a touchdown, you're going to get points for that touchdown on your special teams. And while they don't credit yardage to a punt returner, they do credit the touchdown. So now you're talking about getting 6 points for your DST as well as Braxton Berrios if he's returning punts. You see the correlation there? That might be and that's the only correlation we have on our team so far. We don't have 2 players from a single team at all anywhere. This is not a bad move to make right here. Because if you get that punt return for a touchdown out of Berrios, you're getting 12 instead of 6 for it in total. He's going to get credit for his own touchdown, and the defense special teams is going to get credit for a touchdown. And that's just how it works. So now we got 4,300 for a tight end. Who's that allow us to get? Gerald Everett, David Njoku, Jawan Johnson. The rest, I don't think they're worth talking about. Tanyan, maybe. Nah. Noah Fant. Nah. Zach Ertz, maybe. But actually, the best one, it looks like, is going to be Njoku, and that'll leave us with 100 in salary. That's almost perfect. I think we go Njoku here. I could easily see him getting a touchdown or 2 with Watson at the helm. Watson's going to want to rack up touchdowns. Look, people are dogging him right now. He's going to want to find the quickest, easiest way to rack up touchdowns in this first game. And that could spell big numbers for a guy like Njoku. If you're talking about it's a tight end, I mean, you can't expect a zillion points out of tight end anyway, unless you're pairing up Lamar with his tight end, which we don't have enough salary for. I think this actually turns out to look like a pretty damn solid lineup right here, man. For a free tournament. Sponsored by Guinness, by the way. Thank you, Guinness. And Samuel, that's a good question. Do you think you should trade Zay Jones for Berrios? Well, given that they're the weather might be your deciding factor right there. Although sometimes the weather just don't matter. And if he wants to throw the ball to Zay Jones all day, he's going to do it. Whereas Berrios is in a 3, 4, 5 position as a wide receiver and probably won't get near the volume as a Zay Jones. So you might want to hold off on that. I know I just answered both ways, but it's hard not to. So here you go, ladies, gents, all stops between. We got Lamar Jackson, Kenneth Walker III, Ezekiel Elliott, Justin Jefferson, Michael Thomas, Jalen Waddle, David Njoku, Braxton Berrios in the flex with the Dolphins defense. And that is the Coffee and a Cup of Color audience lineup, fan lineup, whatever you want to call it. And if we hit the top prize, I'm going to turn that around and buy you guys something for a drawing. Heck, 500 might be able to get something really nice, or maybe get 2 things for a drawing. We'll see. But nobody has a chance to win this stuff. Not with one single lineup. But if we do, it's all because of you guys. And I think so too, Samuel. I think it's actually could turn out to be a pretty solid one. I know you don't buy the Dolphins defense, delusional. You weren't here for that, but I do have a sound logic for it. If the Chargers get out of the gate struggling with a new offensive coordinator, then, and this and that and the other, and we got Fangio and he turns out to help us out like we expect this and that, and we get some turnovers, could turn into a pretty good defensive performance by the Dolphins. And the fact that if Berrios can get a punt return for a touchdown, that doubles our points for that. We'll get the special teams credit and the credit for Berrios. Not the yardage, just the touchdown. Yeah, plus, a good point, Roberto. I expect us running the ball is going to keep our defense off the field, too, is more than last season. So we'll see. Hey, it's a free lineup. We only got 2,600 to play with anyway. I'm sure the rest of the defenses at that price level are probably worse off than us. And yes, as Miss Finns points out, you will be able to find me tonight with Miss Finns at 6 p.m. now, Eastern time. I guess you're going a little even earlier on your fantasy draft show. So catch myself and Miss Finns on tonight for League-Wide Wednesday. That's League-Wide talk, talking about we'll make picks from all around all the games for the league, plus impact players that we think are going to help their team. And that'll be coming at you at 6 p.m. for about an hour or so. Sometimes a little longer, but not too much. Tonight over on Miss Finn's channel. And I'm going to go ahead and enter this thing so you all see it locked in. Boom. And that's our lineup for the Guinness free thing tournament. And there you are. Look, they even give you all nice mugs for them all. And so, again, thank you, everybody. We'll talk as the week. We got 4 more days left. we're obviously going to continue talking about how this game coming up. Make sure you're catching Ali on Saturday night for late night exhale. We'll hype it up even more. You got Shake tonight at 6 p.m. for the Drive Time Smoke Lounge. He'll probably be opening up a panel, I suppose. Not really sure. Miss Finn says she's got 2 more spots available for her fantasy league, and we have 1 more spot, I believe, open. We could do that, Sam. How about we do that like Saturday or something for Coffee and a Cup of Color? It says we need a cup of color rating the viewers' fantasy teams. Yeah, we could do that. You could also see if yeah, we can incorporate something like that. Sure. The TFTG fantasy draft is tonight. Show starts at 9 o'clock. Draft starts at 9:30. And we will certainly be continuing all that type of talk. Again, we got to get going on offense. We got to keep up. I'm going to keep driving home the theme. We've got to reward our defense when they make stops and when they get turnovers. That is how you win this game. We have to run the ball consistently. We have to at least demonstrate that we can do it when we want to. That's really what it's all about. And I really think we can look for some sneaky good performances out of our run game. I think we can we can nullify the Khalil Mack and Boza effect. We can certainly do that. And there shouldn't be any reason why we can't pull out a win. We'll keep talking about why we're going to do that. We got, let's see, tonight as I said, we got Shake Money at the Drive Time. We got the Fantasy League. We got Crypto tomorrow with myself coming at you around 10. Top of the tailgate in the morning. Going into Friday, going into Saturday with Late Night XL, you're going to see Capitan. And then, of course, come 4 p.m., shortly after 4 p.m., we got Dolphins football kicking off, and it's going to be fun, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming with, showing up this morning, chopping it up with me, listening to me, and y'all have a blessed day, and fins up.